Sometimes it works. Hello and good evening. Thank you ever so much for joining us. I'm starting 5 minutes early just to make sure it works. You know what the system's like. It's an utter disaster. So anyway, we won't start with any topics quite yet because I am 5 minutes early. But here I am, and we've got a boiler making noise in the background. Lovely boiler. Thank you, boiler. That's very kind of you. We've got one of you coming in. We've got one like. So there's definitely people here. I'm here. My lighting is a little bit wonky, but let's move the lighting around and see if we can be as ghostly as possible. Right. Maybe if I put the lighting that way. No, that might be better. Anyway, yes, we've got lighting. That'll do. Right. Hello to Andrea, Keely, Paulie, Enigma, Expialidocious, and Claire. Thank you. Good evening. Good evening to you all. So thank you for joining. We've got 23 of you already joining, and we're not even at 4 minutes to kick off. So thank you for joining. There's lots of people coming in tonight. We've got friends from Argentina, friends from Canada. We've got friends from England. We've got friends from France. We've got friends from everywhere. What am I drinking today? I'm having a gin and tonic. It's only Tanqueray because that's the best thing to buy down here because most of the gin here is very odd. They mostly sell Gordon's gin, which is utterly revolting and horrible. And as for the whiskey, if you don't buy Famous Grouse or J&B, you don't get anything that's worth having. But the wine is absolutely fine, and the wine is absolutely wonderful. Hi to Lady Min from Jane Hennessy. Jane Hennessy says hello. Lady Min is currently drinking
Hello, Jane.
A glass of rosé herself, and she's having a bowl of pasta I've just cooked for her. We've been out for a lovely lunch at a restaurant that I recommend to you all, the Petit Maison in Cogolan, run by a lovely couple. They've got the most beautiful garden, and we had a lovely lunch. Maybe I'll share some pictures of the lunch on the Instagram tomorrow. Then you can have a look if you so wish, if you're planning to come down this way. Let's go. You're from Nottinghamshire in England, AJ Coleman. Hello to people in Nottinghamshire. I once went to Nottingham University and spent a weekend there with Natalie Imbruglia, the singer, the Australian who was, I think, also possibly an actress, with also a various selection of conservative politicians. So that was what happened to me when I was at school. It was quite a weekend. I thought it was a bit of fun. Anyway, that's a story for another day. So yeah, me in Nottinghamshire, the University of Nottingham, I think I went to. I stayed in a sort of college room. It was a very odd place. And there was a girl who subsequently became a cabinet minister, Theresa Villiers. She told me she aspired to be Margaret Thatcher. I told her that she really wasn't quite up to the standard of Margaret Thatcher, but look, she did become a government minister, and what did I become? Utterly nothing. So she achieved a lot more than me in her time in office, even though she is a very, very strange woman. There we go. That's my story about Theresa Villiers. I didn't expect to tell you that. How am I today? I'm absolutely tip-top. Cheers to you all. Cheers to you, and cheers to me, and cheers to me if we disagree. But there we go. I'm so pleased that many of you have signed our Sloth petition. We're nearly at 200 signatures. So really, out of you all that were here last night, a lot of you clearly did. Some of you clearly let us down. Now, we want you to sign that petition. We'll come back to the petition later because the petition is a very important part of our story. We're going to make this petition go viral. I will talk about the famous faces that have agreed. also signed and shared the petition. We need a few more of you. We need a lot more of you. You know, my last petition, I got 50,000 signatures. The other one, I got 21,000 signatures. The other one, I got, I think, about 12,000 signatures, and I got victory in that one. I got victory, well, in two of them, actually. There we go. So, you know, we want to win again. We want Keir Starmer to stop people abusing the sloth. People cannot believe this ridiculous story. I could not believe that someone could keep this poor kind of creature. And I will talk about my friend who lives in Panama, who also lives in Chile. He also lives in London, and he's a lovely man. And Lady Min knows this lovely man, and she likes his coat. That's a different matter. But anyway, he shared the story of how his son has rescued sloths in those countries. They do not like people getting near them. He tried to save them from being run over in the road. So we'll come to that later. We'll come to that. But now you're starting to come in. It's nearly 8:01. There's over 50 of you here. So people are coming in. And yes, good evening to you all. Right. Hello from Warsaw, Poland, Zuza. Well, we say hello to Zuza in Poland. Right. Could I recommend Adrian Allen? You could do a live stream together. He's a well-informed on the seedy celebrity underbelly, says Paulie. I don't know who Adrian Allen is, but I don't know him. So I would have no idea how to do anything with him. But if you could get him to send me an email, please, and I will happily chat with him. We will be doing programs with other people once my technological expert can work out how to make me do this thing called, I think, StreamYard, like some of the other channels do. You know, the other people I used to go on their channels. I'm moving the light around because the light is a bit weird. Sorry, it's now getting a bit totally weird. Sorry, I do apologize. I shouldn't have moved it. Now it looks really odd. Anyway, there we go. I'll leave it there. Just forget about it. Silly light. Right. Lovely to see all the regulars. Precisely. Thank you for coming in. What's the temperature where I am?
Bloody freezing.
Lady Min says it's bloody freezing. And she is Lady Min, by the way, because she is she was married to a French baron, count. There we go. So it's freezing here in Scotland, and we're going to come to Scotland and the lovely sturgeon fish shortly. So right, it's only 8:03, and we will be starting soon. So we'll begin with a topic in a moment. Yes, welcome to you all, and good evening and good gardening. No, good gardening I normally say when we end, so that's a thing. I have been doing lots of gardening this morning after the workers came yesterday, the lovely housekeepers, but they left rather a lot of mud, so I had to deal with the mud. Anyway, that's another story for another day, but it doesn't really matter. I actually enjoy doing gardening, but I don't really enjoy dealing with mud.
Are you good at gardening?
I'm getting shouted at that I'm quite good at gardening. I'm not Alan Titchmarsh. And as my friend Ben Goldsmith said today, the likes of Alan Titchmarsh should stop encouraging people to bring in exotic species. We need more of the native species to grow in people's gardens, wherever in the world you are. It would be much better to grow native things. I totally agree with Ben. Ben has got it completely right. He's rewilded his farm in Somerset. Absolutely fabulous what he's doing there. He and Sir Benjamin Slade, who I was on the phone to yesterday, both of them are campaigners to bring back the beaver. The beaver is thriving in certain places. It's a wonderful thing to bring back nature. We should go back to better ways of farming. We don't need straight fields, straight lines. And Donald Trump has gone on about straight lines between Canada and America. I say we don't need fields that are square and rivers that are turned into channels that are straight. Make the river meander, because then the wildlife thrives and the ecosystem is better for all of us. I don't like the likes of James Dyson telling us that we should have intensive farming in our country in the way he does. And he doesn't like subsidies for rewilding. He should stick something up his bloody jumper, him and his bloody Hoover. He should put a Hoover in his mouth and shut his mouth. He is a total disgrace, this Dyson. He is a biggest Brexiteer, and I hate Brexit with a passion, as you all know. But he happily has profiteered as a result of all of this. And then he's moved all his operations to Singapore and, wherever else he's moved them to. Dyson and your awful, boring wife, Deirdre, dreary Deirdre, the carpet woman. She sells carpets, absolutely awful, hideous-looking carpets. I cannot stand the Dysons. They are not supporters of British farming. Real British farmers deserve support. And I am a big campaigner about farming, and I love the campaigns run on Twitter by the farmers at the moment. They are telling Keir Starmer, the farmer harmer, to rod off. He is a complete creep. He has lied to the farmers. And okay, I don't like the woman, but today, Diane Abbott, I will give her a credit where it's due. She's had a pop at him over what he's doing to all these poor people who, some of them have all sorts of disabilities. I'm sorry, some of them do deserve support. And all he did was tell her to shut up, basically. I don't like Diane Abbott. I don't like Diane Abbott. Diane Abbott and I, she blocked me on Twitter. But honestly, some people do not need to be harmed. Pensioners, people in wheelchairs, farmers, leave them alone. Don't pick on people in wheelchairs. Don't pick on farmers. Don't pick on freezing cold pensioners. Not a nice thing to do, Keir Starmer. And whilst you can live in your Lord Alley flat with your oddity arrangements, so shame on you. Absolutely appalling. Right. It's AJ Coleman used to live up the hill in Lagarde-Frenay. Well, AJ Coleman, we love Lagarde-Frenay. We have many friends in Lagarde-Frenay. We love La Joie de Vida. We love the Barcelay. We love all the other places. And especially, we love Paulette. Paulette is the best. I used to even help her. On one occasion, I had to help her open the bottles of wine because the poor lady was running around in the Petit Frenet restaurant. So I even join in and open wine. I'm not really a great wine waiter, but I tried that day and I did help her. So there we go. Yes, you don't like Dyson. Wonderful. I totally agree with you. Welcome to you all. Thank you for coming in. Anyway, right, we've got quite a lot of you here now, so I think it's time we begin with our first topic. Which one will I begin with first? I suppose I'll begin with the most immediate piece of news. Nicola Sturgeon. Yes, I think Nicola Sturgeon is a good starting point. She's thrown her husband under the bus. She has been cleared of anything to do with the nonsense that went on. Nonsense. She's got relief and she feels vindication. Meanwhile, Peter Murrell, her husband, has been charged with embezzlement and, Operation Branch Form and the seizing of the motorhome, caravan, sardine tin, whatever you want to call this £100,000 thing. She said, I did nothing wrong. I've had 2 years of difficulty. It's been frustrating. Time has a funny way of making things right. My life will improve again, basically, is what she said. She laughed. She laughed about what this went on. Why was this motorhome on her driveway, or the driveway of her mother-in-law, granny, whatever? What was going on with this thing? Why did they need a motorhome that cost £100,000? She's like the lady in the van, says Lady Min here. She said, but the lady in the van was a nice lady. The contrast is appalling. Absolutely shocking. The sturgeon fish is a piece of junk. And she thinks now, I reckon, that she can wheedle her way back into public life and that all will be fine on the horizon. And, it'll be like having a glass of whiskey with a friend and everything will be, okay, fine. No. This woman is disgraceful. She's awful. She was awful from day one. There was always something odd about her, and I don't think she should be forgiven. And she's thrown that husband under the bus. Now, okay, they've separated, and maybe he did something wrong, and maybe she did nothing at all wrong, ever. This lady never, ever did anything wrong. She's a politician. Yeah. Have you ever met a politician who didn't tell a lie? Come on. Let's be having you. What a load of rubbish. This woman is a pest and a petulant pain in the arse, and she really should be thrown back into the water. She is the sturgeon fish that nobody should be ever consuming. We don't need any more consumption with her. She should be sent to Siberia. Send her away, sail her away, throw her off into somewhere else. Just because she was First Minister, of course, nobody wants to prosecute her because that would be embarrassing to everybody, wouldn't it? That this woman who has been in front of the Queen, in front of everybody else, First Minister, you can't have someone like that in trouble because it would be an international scandal given, who she's interacted with. Well, Nicola Sturgeon should be thrown back into the water and she should go with what are called the poo fish. That's where she belongs. She's a load of rubbish. She belongs with the dirty fish because she's a tricky piece of work. Not a nice lady. Absolutely bad. There we go. You needed this today. Keep going. You are a tonic. Yes. Well, I'm having a gin and tonic, but I'm not raising a gin and tonic to Nicola Sturgeon. What do you say of in the background of Nicola Sturgeon?
I would say, don't trust her.
She says, "Don't trust her." Well, that wasn't a very condemning thing.
I could say further, but I won't.
Right. Well, Enigma says she's swimming with the fishes. Yes. Well, that's where she belongs. She should be swimming with the sharks because that's what she is. Anyway, we don't need to go on about Nicola Sturgeon anymore. It was just an initial piece of news that we first got.
Waste
space.
space.
So I will then now go to a similar type of woman because I didn't mean. I'm not going in order right now. Michelle Mone, another Scottish dreadful woman. And Michelle Mone, obviously, many of you know, Michelle Mone upset me on one occasion when I was having lunch with Omar Sharif. So Baroness Bra the dreaded Baroness Bra is a terrible, terrible woman. And as for that fat, tubby twerp who can't even buy a shirt that fits, despite having made all this money, Doug Barrymore, her little husband, her second husband, I feel sorry for the first husband and I feel sorry for the children because, quite frankly, having Baroness Bra as a mother, you must be bloody embarrassed. So Baroness Bra has branded the COVID inquiry a whitewash of ministerial corruption. Oh, for God's sake. This couple raked in £232 million of public money. 5 years ago, we all had to suffer being locked up. I had to be, my mother and I were stuck in the middle of the countryside. I couldn't go anywhere. I couldn't talk to anybody. I had no friends. I had nobody to go. I had nothing to do. Many people got depressed. It was absolutely bloody awful for all of us. And people were dying. And, nurses. My mother was making things for the nurses. My mother was absolutely amazing in what she did to help the nurses. My sister was a doctor. She had to endure it as an eye surgeon and all the things that she did. And she didn't complain. She didn't whinge and whine. And now this bloody fucking bitch, Michelle Mone, Baroness Bra, Mrs. Ultimo, absolute piece of dirt, is complaining. It's not fair. The inquiry isn't fair. Why should she not have, why do we have to have an inquiry into me, basically, she's saying. So she's saying it's grotesquely unfair. That is her exact quote. Why is it grotesquely unfair for the British public to find out why Baroness Mone, Michelle Mone, and her husband, Mr. Douglas Barrymore, were given £232 million of public money for their company, PPE MedPro, the consortium they ran, and why were they put in what was called the VIP lane? This woman is doing crocodile tears. Shame on her. I am irate with her, and I didn't like her when she interrupted my lunch with Omar Sharif. Okay, that's not very important in the grand scheme of things, but he was a nice old man and he was very polite, and he said, "Madam, we're having lunch. Please come and join us afterwards if you want to take your selfie." I've never seen anyone give me the look of death like she did. She was irate. She is a grifter, a grabber, and she's gross. She is disgusting. She's filth. She's appalling. She's revolting. And she's a thief. She's a total toe rag. And she has, that man, Mark Williams-Thomas, as her PR. I have met Mr. Williams-Thomas. He stood next to me at a crime conference, and he was too busy to speak to me because he was so important. And now he's her kind of spokesperson. Well, he got involved with all sorts of cases. I question why he's doing it too. So Mark Williams-Thomas, whatever. I don't really want to know you either. You're a pest. Right. She has demanded advance notification of the inquiry's report. Both applications by her and Barrymore were rejected by Baroness Hallett. Her name is Heather Hallett, if you want a Christian name. She claims they have been denied the basic right to defend themselves against false damaging allegations made at the inquiry. Well, nobody's denied her anything. She just isn't being given the privilege of being told what she wants first. Just because she's a very rich woman, it does not mean you get different kinds of justice to ordinary people. Shame on her. Yes. The only person, as my friend from Canada has said, who's allowed to interrupt lunch with Omar Sharif would be Peter O'Toole. Precisely. That would be a perfectly fine interruption. If he turned up, it would have been lovely. not Baroness Bra. So, continuing. She claims that Lord Agnew, who was the procurement minister, was responsible for the unsubstantiated and wrongful comments during his evidence against her. Well, she will continue to fight. She is a complete hypocrite. She's a disgrace. She's shameful. She wants the inquiry postponed because she thinks it will discredit the inquiry further if they don't postpone it. Well, that's rather convenient for her, isn't it? A friend of mine was once set up on a date with her. He said it was the worst evening he ever spent with anybody. He left after 25 minutes. That's how bad she is. She is a bleach blonde bimbo. Okay, she's a brilliant businesswoman. She clearly was very successful, but she is a horror. And all she does is grift and grab. She is a taker and not a giver. And all she does is play victim now. This is her latest nonsense. This is an injustice which cannot be allowed to stand. This is an occasion where there can be no higher priority. Sorry. There are people who are victims of terrorist attacks who don't speak like this, then to the right of an obvious injustice and allow the truth to emerge in the full view of the British public without secrecy and lies. Who does this bloody woman think she is? For the very first time, if this is not a time for the inquiry's huge team to take urgent action. Sorry, love. Thousands of people died of COVID. You, Baroness Bra, made 232 million quid whilst people died. And you are whinging and whining, and you're sitting in your bloody mansion on the Isle of Man, as my father calls it, the rainy place for shady people. It's where you belong, you rotten old bag. You're a disgrace. She says, it's difficult to understand what is the point of this exercise, actually, other than it's going through the motions at great public expense. No, the great public expense, Lady Mona, you piece of junk, Lady Mone, was you taking £232 million of our money. I want my money back. We want our money back. Lady Mone, repay the money you took, you and your Barrymore. And Barrymore is primarily responsible because you will claim, oh, it was all done through the family trust, so you didn't control it. But ultimately, the family trust goes to who? You and your stupid children. So shame on you. You are the worst of the worst of the worst. You make Nicola Sturgeon look like a bloody saint. Absolutely shocking. 232 million. And you're trying to say we shouldn't have a public inquiry into you, and it's unfair the way it's being done. Oh dear. I hope you get put in prison. You are the pits. Absolutely disgusting. Cult Television enjoyed visiting the Isle of Man for the TT. Right. Change it, lightening the subject. No, Miss Marple, you might win the quiz. Right, we don't know. Anyway, we want her and her husband in jail, says Jane Hennessy. Totally agree. Yeah, it's all in a trust for her family. Chris. Right. Anyway, we are not going to tolerate any more of the dreaded Michelle Mone. So there we go.
Can I say one thing?
Lady Min would like to speak.
Trusts are a hider of thieves and rogues who steal money.
She says trusts are a way of hiding money and they're useful to thieves. Yes. In the case of Michelle Mone, I am not accusing Michelle Mone of being a thief, but she has ended up with £232 million of public money to her and her husband's family trust. So come on, Michelle Mone, pay it back. If you are a wonderful lady, and if your little PR spokesman, what's his name, Mark Williams Thomas, come on, if you're such good people, and you were paid Mark Williams Thomas to be her spokesman because you made a program and you admitted you were paid, you didn't do it for free, then you all should pay back everything, all of you. Shame on all of you. Absolutely shame on you. And yes, I agree with cult television. She was elevated to nobility. She shouldn't have been. That was David Cameron. David Cameron thought, oh, we'll throw in the House of Lords these two silly bimbos. This Baroness Bra, Michelle Mone, we'll put her in because, you know, she's Mrs. Ultimo Bra and she's successful and she's probably given the Conservative Party a load of money. And the other horror, Karen Brady, Lady Brady, Lazy Brady, as I call her, you know, the football woman, the associate of the dildo floggers. She, you know, the two of them, how lowbrow. Putting those two wenches into the House of Lords just because of, you know, the fact they're on television. Disgusting. Absolutely sickening and wrong. David Cameron, shame on you. Shame on you, David Cameron. Appalling. No, I'm not happy with any of those people. Anyway, I'm going to go to a more calm topic, a sad topic. Today, Eddie Jordan died. Now, Eddie Jordan was not someone I knew very well. I met Eddie Jordan many, many times across a room, you know, basically in the same restaurant. We'd always say hello, and that would be how it was. I last saw him in the middle of January before he obviously went off to Cape Town where he died. And Eddie Jordan was born in Ireland. He died aged 76 years old today. You know, he was from Dublin originally. He had a disease called pink disease when he was a child, and he had to go off to the outside of Dublin to the countryside, and his mother was not allowed to dress him in anything other than cotton, weirdly, because that helped cure him. So he grew up and he ended up working for a bank, as a bank clerk to begin. And, you know, this man from humble beginnings became one of the most amazing successes. He was multifaceted because he did everything. There's not much that Eddie Jordan hasn't done. And I didn't know him very well, but he was always very pleasant. And I'm very sad to hear from Liz Brewer this morning, who is at Turnberry herself in Scotland. Mrs. Brewer sent me a message and told me this, and I was quite sad to hear it. Mrs. Brewer, you know, it was kind of to get in touch. So I knew him from PJ's restaurant, which of course is one of my spiritual home, as I call it, in London. And but I last saw him at the Dalesford, owned by the Bamfords, you know, another controversial man who owes 500 million to the British taxpayer. Well, Lord Bamford, that's no wonder you quit the House of Lords, but we won't go there. But Eddie Jordan lived between South Kensington. He lived in the building the Bromptons, and which used to be a hospital on Fulham Road, and he lived in Monaco where he kept his yacht, and he lived in South Africa in Cape Town. But he was someone who was involved in business, sport, and charity. You know, he was the founder of Jordan Grand Prix 1991 to 2005. He was the chief analyst for Formula One coverage for the BBC. So he was a TV presenter 2009 to 2015. He was the co-owner of the London Irish Rugby Club. He had 4 children with his wife, Marie, who was an Irish basketball player. They married in 1979. He won the first Irish kart championship in 1971, moved to Formula Ford in 1974. He went on in 1975, raced in Formula 3, raced in 1981 in the 24 Hours of Le Mans in a BMW. He was a mentor to so many people in racing, Formula One racing. Damon Hill, Michael Schumacher, Ralph Schumacher, Martin Brundle, many, many more. Formula One, he had his best result with a first and a second in the same race in 1998 at the Belgian Grand Prix. That was Damon Hill and Ralph Schumacher. We're not going to talk about the coffin-dodging little dwarf. I'm not going to bring up, his involvement in the story because I don't think it helps add to the equation. He had a TV career. He was in 2016 a presenter on Top Gear. In 2007 he wrote his autobiography, An Independent Man. He had a band called Eddie and the Robbers. He was very much into singing and music as much as anything else. So music, cars, everything. He tried to buy Coventry City Football Club. He was a shareholder in Celtic FC. He loved golf and horse racing. His trainer was Mouse Morris. I don't know who Mouse Morris. I didn't know. He's not a trainer I'm aware of, but there's probably an Irish trainer, and I don't know all the Irish. He was very into cycling in Monaco and Cape Town. He did the Cape Town cycle tour. He circumnavigated the world in 2015, and then he owned from 2014 the largest Sunseeker yacht ever built. He paid £32 million for it. It was called Blush. It was 149 foot. He was also a director of the board of Oyster Yachts. He was one of the biggest collectors of Irish art. His business involved oil, motor racing, sports, property, gaming, entertainment, health, and fitness. What an amazing man. That man leaves a fabulous legacy for his wonderful children. He always said that his children were his favorite thing. So our condolences to the family of Eddie Jordan, a lovely man. Meanwhile, moving along, Richard Madeley, of course, had to stick his bloody oar in. Richard Madeley decided to interrupt his broadcast to, he should, instead of going and lifting some more champagne, consistently awful him, made it all about Richard Madeley as usual. So lots of people have condemned Richard Madeley for his interruption. Lady Min here asked me to ask you all, why is Richard Madeley still on ITV? When he switches on, she switches off. So there we go. This consistently awful man. Richard Madeley is a man who says that all elephants were born evil, amongst other things. Not a nice man. So do any of you have any views on that? We will pause for a moment and let you have some views on either Eddie Jordan or Richard Madeley. Right, Madeley and that little chef were shoplifters, yes. The little chef you're talking about, Gino De Campo, stole guitars from a house. So no, he wasn't a shoplifter. Why does he think elephants are born evil? I have no idea. He's just totally nuts. Stevie D says Madeley is still on TV. That's awful. Yes, totally agree with you. Madeley was out of date in 1988. Yes, I totally agree with you. Cult television, totally agree. Why is he a news anchor? He is a joke, says Jane Hennessy. There we go. Richard Madeley is a tea leaf. Yes, he's a thief. Yes, allegedly. He doesn't like to be called such. He claimed he was obviously cleared of one incident of shoplifting. So there we go. He claimed he forgot that he put the champagne in the shopping cart, so he didn't mean to. Joyce talks about Anthony Worrell Thompson. Well, Anthony Worrell Thompson is a nice gentleman. I do know him personally, and I like his company. So I won't say any more about that. Pinch and Judy, yes, that's a good nickname for them. Yeah, awful people. I refer to him as the Dorian Gray, and he had to call her mummy, because that's how it began when he first went to work on the show, because she was his show mummy. How bizarre is that? What an odd pair. The trolley dash, yes. Right. Anyway, so Richard Madeley, that's Richard Madeley. If you don't have any more to say about Richard Madeley, we will save him for another day. Judy was around when Harold Macmillan was Prime Minister. That does make me laugh, because she gets older as he gets young. He looks younger and younger by the day, and she looks more like, great grandmother. Let's be honest. Awful couple. They're very unpleasant. I won't go into my own personal relationship with them because it's boring. We've done it before. They are an unpleasant, horrible couple, and they should be taken off British television. They have nothing to contribute to society. They are just grim grabbers. They're another awful pair. Why don't we give, in this country, in Britain, people who are young a chance, instead of having these boring old people who are all up to the same old no good, and all they want is a bit of wonga wonga. Give someone new a chance. Let's have some fresh blood. We need a bit of spice and variety. And it doesn't matter where people come from, whoever they are. Let's have someone different, someone refreshing, someone new. It wouldn't harm the world, would it? No. There we go. What do I think of Vanessa Feltz? She's not one of the most pleasant people I've ever met, nor is her ex-man, the gentleman she doesn't go out with anymore. I met him recently, last probably November, at a party, and he's a very odd person as well. But Mrs. Feltz, no, nothing special. She's up there with Anthea Turner and Lizzie Cundy. That's the kind of level that she reaches. Tawdry, tacky, and tepid. No thanks, no more. So don't want to talk about that anymore. Ghastly woman Vanessa, says Mr. Lee Kicker. Yes, there we go. That's it. Right. Yes, Lizzie. Busy Lizzie, in the case of Lizzie Cundy, is not a very special person. No. She definitely doesn't like me, but I don't like her. Fuzzy Feltz, yep, there we go. Right, so we'll move along to another topic. Now, which one shall I do next? Right. I think we'll go next to the Lake District Mosque. Now, I'd like to know if you think the Lake District Mosque is good or bad. I had a nice message from a friend of mine who is a polo player about this, and because of my connections with the Lake District, he asked me how I was doing and what would I think about there being a mosque in the Lake District, which is where my family do have homes, and I have my views, but what are your views on the Lake District Mosque? It's not actually in the Lake District, it's on the edge of the Lake District, but that's another part of the story. But I I'm not going to be judgmental in too many ways because I know it will be far too provocative. But I can give you a few facts about the Lake District Mosque. TMTB says sometimes mosques are beautiful. Paul Taylor says if Muslims live there, why not? We've got a mosque around the Riyadh. There we go. Well, I will give you a few facts. So, the Daily Express, which of course is normally very radical, said, the mosque will support hundreds of Muslims in the area who currently have to make a 100-mile round trip to their nearest mosque. The nearest mosque is in Lancaster, then Preston. Of course, I went to school in Lancaster, and I know many of the people who went to that mosque because some of them went to my school. So I do know the situation there. This mosque has cost £2.5 million. It's costing £30,000 a week to build it. It's near a place called Dalton and Furness, which is in the South Lakes, but it's not in the national park. It's being funded by the South Lakes Islamic Centre charity, and it's quite close to the Furness General Hospital, where around 300 traditional Muslims live in that area and work in that hospital and are associated with that. So there we go. So we should all live together, love foreign food. Yes, I agree with you. You love the Lake District, but you don't want people building all over the green and pleasant land. Well, there we go. Planning permission was granted in 2022. It's continuing to appeal for more funds because it hasn't got enough funding. It will be a 3-story building with a prayer hall, community centre and car park. And they say the South Lakes Islamic Centre charity, this is more than a building. It's a lifeline for our community, shaping the hearts of our community, shaping the hearts of our children and anchoring their identities firmly within the mosque, the masjid. Our vision remains...
I go to the bathroom.
Don't interrupt. Sorry, I do apologise. Unwavering. To make the scenic South Lakes a place of choice for Muslim families. There were far-right protests. Can you get there?
I can do it. Easy.
Right. Okay.
Easy.
Far-right protests. Okay. Well, in 2022, against it by the Patriotic Alternative. Sorry about the noise, but it was very polite someone to ask. But we don't really need to have. You're going the wrong way.
I know. I'm just going to get something from here.
Right. Anyway. Right. Anyway, so what do you think of the mosque? Do you think the mosque adds to the cultural diversity, or do you think this is an unacceptable intrusion into a rural community? I am not speaking either way at this stage. Right. Right. It's not a problem. Good luck to them. Well, I actually tend to agree. I think the building is doing no harm to the community. It's being built in an area that's not actually very much part of this national park. I don't think people should be getting so upset about it, but people seem to be getting very upset about it on social media. So the mosque has caused a huge amount of upset with lots of different people. And I had loads of messages from people saying, I don't like this mosque, but I think in a week when people are supposedly celebrating village halls, which some kind of village hall celebration week or something. Not that I do any of these celebration weeks, but on Radio 4 I heard this thing about you've got to celebrate the village hall and how wonderful it all is. Let these people have their community place to be, as long as it doesn't interfere with other people's lives, and they don't, it's not causing protests and nonsense, and there's not drama there. So what? I don't think it's the worst thing on the planet. It's strange that people are getting very upset about it, because I don't see the point of getting upset about it, which is why I brought it up. But I'm giving you my personal opinion. I don't know what to say. This thing did not offend me. The building is inoffensive. It's just a building. It's not a big building. I don't understand why these people, patriotic alternative, who I'd never even heard of, were protesting so much against it. But I think as long as this country is tolerant and reasonable, we will all get along fine. But under Keir Starmer, we're not doing very well because he's just bloody useless. He is the problem, not the mosque in the Lake District. And it's not even the mosque in the Lake District because it's on the edge of the Lake District. It's not even in the national park. So I don't quite get what the problem is with this mosque. If someone wanted to build a church, you'd have Church of Scientology and Tom Cruise paid for it down in Sussex. Nobody seems to stop those people having their fancy church. So why don't you let these people have their mosque? I think let them be. Leave them be. I think that is my reasonable and rational conclusion. When I first heard about it, I thought, oh dear, this could be a bit radical, and like the man who wanted to turn an island into one of these things from, the far right up in Scotland. And I thought, oh dear, there could be some thing going on from the way the headline was written in one paper, the Daily Mail. But now I've looked into it, I think this is not anything other than providing traditional Muslims with an ability to avoid a round trip if they wish to worship and, pray. It's absolutely no bad thing. Right. But anyway, some of you have differing views. Scientology is horrible. There we go. We can agree that Scientology is horrible. Right, so we'll move on to the next topic, which is Andrew Tate. Now, Andrew Tate today was outside a diner on a film, according to Crayon Murders, and he said, I feel American as can be right now, might buy a monster truck, might shoot up a school. And that is the key line, might shoot up a school. I'm joking. AG of Florida, AG of California, I don't know who they are. Yeah, I feel American. What else could you do, this American? Hoof jerky or drone strikes, he added. Now, Andrew Tate thinks it's funny, says Crayon Murders, this person on Twitter, to make jokes about him shooting up an American school. This is the person the Trump administration and many conservatives are protecting. Now, I don't agree with this Crayon murders person entirely, because I don't think all conservative people would support this. No, that's nonsense. But this bad influence is being encouraged by a lot of people. He's a very bad influence. He's weird, and he's not wacky. He's disgusting. He's filth. He's scum. He's revolting. And, I have a number of points to make about him. This bad influence on young men, he is causing young people, especially men, well, men only, because he doesn't like women are subservient in his view. He is just taking their money. He's a grifter. He's grim. He's a grabber. He's another piece of scam. Absolutely appalling. Now, I have a number of points to say, and I will come to them. But the comments from people who responded to Crayon Murders, who is a person who tweets all the time about Andrew Tate. He's obviously very anti-Andrew Tate. None of the people defending him are conservatives, said one of them. They're all frauds. Now, I agree with that comment. I totally agree. Another one said he needs a lobotomy. I totally agree. Nobody would seriously believe Tate would shoot up a high school. The way his mind probably works, half the kids were potential future customers, and the other half are sex objects. I think you're quite right there too, whoever said that. They said it's the coke and the alcohol talking, quite possibly. Josie in the background says, Andrew Tate, not exactly an intellectual. Precisely. He's a pimp, says TMTB. Quite agree with you. Tate is just in it for the fame and money, says Pipfield. Totally agree with you. Claire Louise, he's evil. Christine, he's a freaking weirdo. Yes, we agree with that. Andrew Tate is a bit like Borat or Ali G, a parody character, says the desert one. No, he's trying. Andrew, Ali G, Borat were characters. They were just characters. This person is making a fortune out of manipulation. I don't agree with you. Sorry, don't agree with that. But it's your right to have an opinion. Another sensible person said, I hope Melania, that's Melania Trump, will have a talk with Barron, that's Donald Trump's child, about these men. Barron is the reason Trump is even entertaining them, the Tristan and Andrew Tate people. I can't imagine Melania would actually be okay with it. And I think that person makes the most valid point of all. Come on, Mrs. Trump. You're the wife of the President of America, and you're allowing your son to have dealings with these misogynist, alleged rapist, sex trafficking, financial fraudsters. Come on, Mrs. Trump, man up and grow up and show up. Woman up, do what you need. You need to do something about this. And really, Mrs. Trump, it's very disappointing that you don't. Absolutely appalling. Look, there were people who came to the defense. They said it's very funny what he said about shooting up a school. So, it's funny to say go and shoot a load of school children. The man is sick in the head. It's not a funny joke, but that's what one of them said. It's a joke. And another one added, get over yourselves. Well, as somebody else responded, he's designed to create shock. He's the modern day Howard Stern. It is a total load of disgrace that this reprobate is allowed to get away with his behavior. There we go. So that's my view on him. We'll come on to the next topic shortly, but we'll talk a bit more about him. Right. If a comedian had said that he'd be cancelled, says Mr. Man, you're not wrong. It is terrible to think that this pair of cretins, Andrew and Tristan Tate, were able to go from Romania to America. Because I don't think they'll be going back. I think this is the next part of the problem. They will never face justice in Romania. They are now protected in America because they're American citizens. Will they ever be extradited to Britain, where they also happen to have passports? Probably not. These two grifters could now carry on regardless. They think that they are getting away with it. They're appalling people. And they are a bad influence on humanity. They make videos. Why does Andrew Tate never wear a shirt? Why is he always showing off his chest? He's a very odd-looking creature for a start, with all those horrible tattoos, and he looks disgusting, and he just, in that weird head of his, he's a very odd person. The creepy people. And Tristan Tate, well, he just looks like the giggling hyena. He looks like the village idiot. He looks like he was born in a barn. There's something quite wrong about him. I think he could have a bit of a missing link. You know, he's an absolute Dumbo. There's something very odd about him. He comes across as the thicko, and the other one comes across as the brash braggart. Awful people. No, absolutely appalling. Right. What do I think of Sacha Baron Cohen? Entertaining to a degree. There we go. Right. Tate is a narcissist, says Josie. I totally agree. I don't know what the other word you're using means, but I shall not include it because I think maybe the spelling might be wrong. Right. Right. Any more questions from you about the Tate brothers? Let's have some more questions on the Tate brothers. Sacha Baron Cohen was funny in the day when he dressed up as Ali G. Well, you know, Richard Madeley dressed up as Ali G. Richard Madeley was not funny when he dressed up as Ali G because Richard Madeley is not funny on a Monday, a Tuesday, a Wednesday, a Thursday, a Friday, a Saturday, or a Sunday. Richard Madeley is not funny, full stop. He is like that stupid singer, Craig David. He may as well sing that song about, you know, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday again. You know, precisely. He's totally not funny. Paul Daniels once dressed up as Ali G. Oh dear. Paul Daniels was not a funny person. He was funny in the head. Awful. And as for Debbie McGee, who's now got a podcast called Spill the Tea with Debbie McGee, no thanks to anything with Debbie McGee. She's the woman who flogs kitchen cabinet doors, secondhand kitchen cabinets. Absolutely weird. She's a very odd woman. You know, as Mrs. Merton, the wonderful Mrs. Merton, said to her, what was it about the multimillionaire Paul Daniels that first attracted you to the multimillionaire Paul Daniels? And she didn't get the joke. She's a complete thicko. She's a pain in the ass as well. Awful, horrible woman, up there with Gloria Hunniford, Cilla Black, Lizzie Cundy, Tamara Eccleston, all those loose women, all those horrible, horrible people, vile, horrible people. Absolutely awful. But, you know, there we go. We'll come to Tamara Eccleston and the Sloth in a moment because the Sloth petition is growing. But we'll carry on for the moment with this matter. So, any more questions? Is Debbie McGee here? Debbie McGee is not here presently, Cult Television. Thank you for your question. As far as I'm aware, Debbie McGee is not in the room. And I'll need someone to help me with my quiz. So we don't have our resident Debbie McGee. It seems she's not available in the house tonight. So I'll probably have to do it myself. What do I think of Jane Moore from Loose Women? I don't know anything about Jane Moore other than I've seen her name in newspaper articles. I don't watch Loose Women. I'm not planning to watch Loose Women. I've only ever watched episodes with Cliff Richard and, the dreaded Gloria and things like that. Clips of it primarily. Loose Women should be banned. It's another thing I want banned. I did once start a petition against that, but it didn't really take off because it seems the nation at that time was quite keen on it. But I get people banned from sharing videos of shooting giraffes because they use the wrong kind of music. I can do that, but I couldn't get Loose Women banned yet. But I think if there's going to continue to be a program called Loose Women and Fergie, the Duchess of York, is going to get £3,000 an episode, I do think there should be a program as an alternative shown at exactly the same time on another ITV channel called Misogynistic Men. I do think that would be a good counterpoint, even though, the only person they'd probably put on it is Andrew Tate, which would be a disaster. Not something I would support, but that is my counterpoint. I would say scrap Loose Women and have a decent program instead. Don't have any of this kind of sexual nonsense where you oogle men, and it's disgusting. It's revolting. It's absolutely sick in the head. And to have a member of the royal family, former member of the royal family, coming on as the next presenter, what are they thinking? What she think? Well, sorry, what is she thinking? She's the shameful one. Shame on Fergie, the Duchess of York. Absolutely sick in the head woman. Revolting. Right. Yeah, Fergie would spend the £3,000 on lunch. She'd spend £3,000 in 3 seconds. She's really a very good spender, is our Ferg. Our Ferg's up there with a quick reminder, she's one of those types. She will spend. Right, you've got all sorts of suggestions of names of alternative programs, some of them which I cannot read out because they're a little bit too offensive. Right. Adam thinks that Mr. Tate has been quite derogatory about gay men, but he charges them men to attend his course and refer to him as master, and he thinks it's interesting. I think you make a very valid point about his whatever. I'll leave it at that. Right. A little glass of red for the quiz. Yes, I've got a little glass of red. Lady Min's cat. Yes, you come in. Lady Min's cat has arrived.
By what?
There is a person who goes by the name of Lady Min's cat. We don't know.
There's a cat.
Yes, well,
I haven't got a cat, though.
She doesn't have a cat. She doesn't understand that someone is using the name Lady Min's cat. Some people call themselves Stevie D, and some people call themselves Paul Taylor, and some people call themselves Des Dog, and some people call themselves Linz, and one person calls themselves Lady Min's cat. And I've got Mr. Gorse, my school teacher, my French school teacher here. He has a Cointreau. Oh, well, cheers to Mr. Gorse, the French teacher from Lancaster. We've covered Lancaster already in one part of our broadcast. Anyway, so, yes, we'll come back to my petition now. I don't know how many people have signed it, but it was around, it was a couple of hundred when we last had a look. An update on the petition. Well, this morning, Stephen Burkoff wrote to me, the actor, and said bravo. He was very happy because Stephen and I have campaigned about animal rights for many, many years together. On one occasion, he went to a dinner and I was there, and we had Annie Lennox and all sorts of other people at the table. And the owner of the Evening Standard offered a prize. The right, Evgeny Lebedev offered a prize of the right to go and shoot a bear with him in Russia. A horrible, horrible, cruel thing to do. And people were bidding to buy a bear. And Mr. Burkhoff and I, he stood up and he told the audience what he thought. He told them that they were disgusting. And everybody else in that audience was so cowardly because they were scared of the owner of the Evening Standard. And then Mr. Lebedev was forced into a climb down because of Mr. Burkhoff, who actually had the courage to speak up. He said, okay, I'll offer the right to not go and shoot the bear. But how dare these people go around harming beautiful animals? But Mr. Burkhoff, he came and supported our petition today. And I thank all of you who have given money to support our petition, the people who've shared it. I know some of you don't have much money. It doesn't matter. It's great that you're sharing this. We want them to stop having sloths as pets in Britain. It is the most horrible thing. It is time to stop the abuse of the sloth. I thank you, and I'm going to be writing an article tomorrow to try and share the information further. But a friend of mine, Peter, he is a friend of mine from PJ's in London, but he lives in Chile and he lives in Panama, and he has businesses there, and he's originally from there. So he said, I live half the year in Panama, where sloths are an indigenous species, which my son, on at least one occasion, has saved from being driven over on a public highway. And as he reports, they aren't the easiest of God's creatures to pick up and carry to safety, because a sloth does not like human contact. Nevertheless, as you have said, may they be saved from the suppolistic gringers, i.e. the foreign girls who are self-centered, like Tamara Eccleston, who decides to take them somehow to her Kensington mansion to have a private party with for her spoilt brat 10-year-old daughter. It is disgusting that those children were putting their filthy hands all over that poor creature. Leave the sloth alone. The sloth should not be in Britain. One. Okay, if it's in Britain, it should be in a zoo. It should be left in peace. It is a solitary creature. It does not like physical contact. It likes to be left to hang upside down in a tree. Leave the sloth alone. Absolutely right, Peter. My friend Peter, his son has rescued sloths. Tamara Eccleston takes them to her Kensington mansion and puts them in there with the heating and the air conditioning so her little brat can put its dirty paws all over the poor creature. Leave the sloth alone. And I'm very glad that so many of you have signed up. And another person who wrote a comment after giving a donation, Pip Saucer. Thank you to Pip. This shy, harmless creature needs its own habitat. It does not need to be a showpiece mauled about by humans. Precisely. I am not making a personal attack on Tamara Eccleston, but she should not have done what she did. But these poor creatures, Keir Starmer, do something about this. I want you, Keir Starmer, to let the sloth not be a pet in Britain. It should not be allowed to be classified as a pet. It's disgusting. And TMTB says terrible Tamara. You say it's terrible for the planet. Other ones, they dressed it up. Yes, they probably did. They're imbeciles. Yes, but they're not the only ones who are doing this. There are lots of other people who have sloths as pets. I don't want anyone to have a sloth as a pet. This is what I might, with Madeley van der Merwe, I was able to get her banned because I got 50,000 people on this platform, change.org. I caught her out on copyright law because she filmed a video of her husband giving her the right to shoot a giraffe for Valentine's Day. He paid for her for Valentine's Day to shoot a beautiful giraffe. Why would you do that? This beautiful creature, I'm going to cry in a minute. I feel so sad about it. And then they shot it, and then she tore its heart out and stood there with it. The woman was sick in the head. Her husband was clearly sick in the head. But then they used music of a man called Johnny somebody or other, Scatterlings of Africa. And I was able to persuade the YouTube, because of copyright, to ban her. So we got her banned. So her stupid video was removed. But that's the only way to get these kind of people. But this one, the sloth, it just shouldn't be a pet. It's not a suitable creature to have in the UK. It belongs in the rainforest. The temperature in Britain is not the correct temperature. The climate is completely wrong. It belongs in Central and South America. Leave the sloth where it belongs. Do not put it in Britain. And if it is in Britain, yes, you can have these things in a zoo. I have my own views about zoos. Everyone loves to go and visit a zoo as a child, but when you start to think about what actually goes on in the zoo, some of these zoos are not very nice places. And I'm not an animal rights activist, and I like to go shooting and fishing and all the rest, but I'm not a great fan of zoos because animals belong in their natural habitats. Don't put animals where they don't belong. It's not correct. Leave animals where they belong. Leave humans where they belong. It's sensible logic. Were you born in a barn? Were you born in a ditch? Were you born on the floor? Have you got the brain of a piece of sawdust? Animals like sloths do not fit in with the British climate. So if you keep sloths, you've got to have a lot of money. And yes, tepid Tamara, she's got tons of money. But she doesn't think, does she? She just thinks, oh, my little daughter wants a little thing to play with. Absolutely sick in the head. Wrong. And people like that, totally wrong. What is the Spanish for sloth? I don't know. Says Mr. Gorse, I can't answer your question. I don't know. Please tell me. I didn't know you were a Spanish teacher as well. You were a French teacher when I was at school. So there we go. I can't answer your question. No, please tell me. What is the Spanish for sloth? Keely hates people that hurts animals. Well, Keely, you're right. There we go. Jane Hennessy used to love Chester Zoo, but as a child, but you don't like zoos. I feel the same as you. I used to go to Chester Zoo as a child. I remember going there. And I loved going to visit to look at seals, and I loved looking at animals. But now recently here in France, we went to a garden centre, Lady Min and I, and, they had every kind of animal in cages. Poor animals.
For sale.
For sale. And nobody buys these damn animals. They're just locked up.
They were.
Birds. All these poor birds. And they're all mixed up in a cage. And they're not the same kind of birds. They're all just thrown in a cage. and they're all flying around, and they all look totally terrified, and they've got no room to move. These cages are the size of, a fridge. It's horrible what these people are doing. And then they've got, cockerels, and you've got rabbits, and you've got, all these things in cages. It is not the way animals should be treated. We as humans should be respectful to other species. We should be decent. We should be kind. Do not put things in cages, small cages. And reptiles. I had a message from one of my big Twitter followers today, who's a fun gentleman, who likes to cause a bit of havoc from time to time. And, he said he doesn't like to see all these reptiles, these poor reptiles. Animals need space. We all need space. I need to go for a walk from time to time. I need a bit of space from everybody, from myself. But I can go out and open the door. These things are locked up in a little... It's not correct. Absolutely wrong. Yes, zoos are appalling places when animals are behind bars, says Stevie D. I totally agree. I went off the concept of zoos many, many years ago. I think zoos are horrible, horrible things because, yes, they can be good for conservation and breeding programs. The Aspinalls try to do it with their Howlett's Zoo, and they take things back to Africa or wherever they, whatever the species comes from. But most of these zoos are private playthings for spoilt rich people. And Tamara Eccleston taking a sloth into a Kensington mansion is a prime example of what is wrong with the world. This sloth, it should never, ever have been in that house. It's horrible. But that's the only reason I knew that sloths, I would never have known. But it's not illegal to do what she's doing. She did not break the law. I want the law changed, and that is what I'm campaigning for. So I'm going to, well done to her for highlighting, actually. She has highlighted the issue. She's shown that she's a complete Burke and a complete pain in the arse, but, well, I already knew that because I've had plenty of rows with her in person. But it's not about her. It's about Save the Sloth. So I celebrate the life of the sloth. Don't you agree, Lady Men? We want the sloth to be free.
Yeah, I want them to be free.
We want them to be free.
As long as when they're free, they are looked after.
They don't need to be looked after when they're free because they can look after
If
themselves.
they're going to send them back to South America, fine.
Yes. So we don't like circuses. Yes. No, I'm not into circuses either. Circus animals, that is the most cruel, horrible treatment of many of those things. Circuses, what they did to elephants and other animals, and the way they beat the animals and the bears particularly, and they caged the animals and poked them so they behave in a certain way. No, circuses, no thank you. I'm not into circus animals. No. Glad that's been virtually stopped. Well, that's been stopped in England at least. Other places in the world it still goes on. Elephants in circuses is disgusting. I totally agree. There we go. Free the sloth. Yes, free it. Thank you. So if you could sign my petition, there is a wide range of information about the petition on my link here. And please share the petition. And if you could add some money to the petition, I get nothing out of this. This goes to the change.org. It's the only way to make it spread. You have to, if you pay, a number of you have kindly, like Lee Kicker, paid some money, £10. It means that it goes to more people. And then once it gets bigger and bigger, people start to pay attention. So let's make the petition spread. Des Dog said, I'm so glad I found this channel. That's very kind of you to say, Des Dog. Thank you. Right. You like dogs dancing in the circus. Right. Um, you think that they're happy. Okay. Well, if you think the dogs are happy, then that's your view. They're obviously trained, but there's lots of happy dogs in the world, so I don't think it's the same thing as beating a bear and making it do something. Um, right. Were the Aspinalls friends of Lord Lucan? Yes, the Aspinalls were friends of Lord Lucan, yes. And I do know the Lucan family, as you already know. I don't know the Aspinalls very well, no. I know a lady who had a child with one of the Aspinalls, but that's about it. Right. Caged animals is beyond words. Yes, caged animals, totally disgusting. And this is what I don't like about these French garden centres here. All these birds locked up in these small spaces, these poor little birds, and none of them are the same species. And they lock them all up together. Well, they're different kinds of birds, so they'll probably attack one another. They won't be happy. And, could you imagine at night when there's nobody in the place? These poor birds are probably just terrified and they're just thinking, what's going to happen to me?
I don't think they'd go
It's
see.
absolutely shocking what they've done to these poor animals. I think these garden centres in this country should be ashamed of themselves, but that's a different matter. I can't run a campaign about garden centres in France. I can run a campaign about the sloths in Britain, however. So that's what I'll do. Yes, birds are meant to spread their wings and fly. Josie Muldowney, you say it correctly. Birds should not be in a cage in a garden centre, in a little glass box. And it's horrible what they've got. And they've got so many of them in these boxes. I don't think it's hygienic, actually, for the birds. I think it's very sad. I don't think they look after them. I think it's very cruel. And I don't like it. So I'm very, very anti this. It's very much. If you got to the birds, I could be rebellious and go and break all the glass, but that would not be a very good idea because then the birds would get injured on the broken glass. But, I'm not going to be a protester. I'm not a just stop oil type person, but I do think it's wrong that this goes on.
Free the birds, let them free.
Lady Men thinks the birds should be free as well. So there we go. Right. Okay. So we've covered the topics. Yes. So now it's time, if someone is agreeable to help me with a quiz, we'll have a quiz. Is anyone available to help with the quiz? Right. Otherwise, I'll keep the score myself. Do I know Segunda? Says John. I don't know what Segunda is. No. So Stevie D will help with the quiz. I don't know what Segunda is. I can't answer your question. Do you know what Segunda is?
I can take a guess,
No.
which is probably Brazilian dance or South American dance.
She thinks it may be South American dance, but I don't have a clue. So I can't answer your question, John, but like Wakanda, I don't know. I have no idea. Absolutely no idea. I'm very sorry. It means second. Second to what? I don't know. I don't know what the question is, so I can't answer your question. Sorry. Lady Min sounds like she belongs in a Jilly Cooper novel.
What?
You sound like you belong in a Jilly Cooper novel. From a distance, the shouting. Oh. Did you all watch the Jilly Cooper program, the ITV Riders or whatever it was called? I did watch it. It was a bit strange, but it was mildly naff entertainment. So there we go. You could sound like Barbara Cartland.
No.
She claims that she didn't. Oh, it was called Rivals. Yes, you loved it. Yes. Rivals, it was entertaining. I believe there will be a second series. I'm going to pour myself a second glass of red wine before I get accused of having 4 bottles. I have only had 2 glasses of wine and 1 gin and tonic before I started this matter. Right. Did I ever meet Barbara Cartland? No, but Christine Hamilton used to have Barbara Cartland to stay at her house. So Christine was quite friendly with Barbara. And Christine has been absolutely wonderful in recent weeks. So my glass is raised to Christine Hamilton. She's been an absolute gem and a treasure, and I salute her. Christine used to have in her home in Cheshire to stay Margaret Thatcher and Barbara Cartland. So Barbara Cartland's books not my kind of reading material. She was rather prolific. I think she wrote about maybe 500 books or something. She was totally prolific. She just turned them out. But many people did read them, as Lady Min rightly points out. And of course, her daughter, Acid Rain, whose nickname was Acid Rain because of Diana, Princess of Wales, who fell out with her and then fell back in with her. And of course, she worked the tills in Harrods. So there you go. That could have been a quiz question, but we're going to come to our quiz now. So let's start the quiz. We have a few more of my complicated quizzes. I think I've got I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So after this, I have to make the quizzes a little easier, I'm told. The quiz is too complicated for some of you. Well, I'm not going to get rid of all my questions, and I'm not going to make it like it was when I was in Broadstairs, because in Broadstairs I did it from a book. These are my questions. I'll choose my questions, but I will add even more generic questions. But I already throw in one about a soap opera or something, which is something I don't personally have any interest in. So I'm not going to make it too easy for you. Sorry. Not going to be doing that. It's my quiz. It's my way, or it's the highway. As Anne Robinson would say, you are the weakest link. Goodbye. I love Annie. She's the best. Annie is the most lovely lady, great company, fabulous lady, wonderful to talk to. We have a good dialogue, her and I. I'm not in the league of Annie Robinson as a quizmaster, but I don't see why my quiz should be totally bland and boring and, just about Hollyoaks and Coronation Street. Sorry, not going to happen. So anyway, we'll begin the quiz. The quiz is about being together, precisely. Quite right, Stevie D. But, last night, one person got 4 points. I think 4 points out of 20 in my quiz is very good. Lady Min doesn't agree. I think 4 out of 20 in my quiz, because you've got to be the fastest finger first. You've got to be the first person to answer. It's all about being quick as well. It's not just about the answer. You've got to be the quickest of the thing. Right, Stevie D is ready with a pen. Right, Stevie D, you're going to take the notes. Thank you to Stevie D. Wonderful. What do the initials of the author A.A. Milne stand for? What are the initials? A.A. meaning? Well, it's not Ted Rogers, no, because it's A.A. It's not Arthur Andrew. It's not Alan Allenson. It's not Alan Anthony. It's not Anthony Andrew. It's not the Automobile Association. The winner straight away with the point is Chili Karen. Chili Karen, you get the point. 1 point to Chili Karen because it is Alan Alexander. So there you go. That is not a question that is that hard. I would easily have answered that. But I know many of you don't like my questions. Here is another obscure question for you. In which year did David Patrick Columbia create the New York Social Diary, which is a website on the internet about New York society? Which year did he create it? It wasn't 1987. It wasn't 1989. It wasn't 2005. The winner is Miss Marple. Miss Marple is in the room. It is 2001. And Mr. Patrick Columbia writes about all sorts of wacky people in New York and Palm Beach. The weirdest of them being a woman called Muffy Potter Aston. She's completely off her rocker. He does choose some very strange topics. Anyway, it's generally pictures of all sorts of bizarre people. Anyway, it's quite an interesting source of information about the high and the low of America, because when I'm researching things about the Maxwells and the Epsteins, lots of times it comes back to his pages. So, interesting. Okay, in which year, and this is something, the program I did on Talk TV, in which year did Chef Claudia Lawrence vanish? Which year? I'll accept the year if you give the month and the date. Right. Pauline Makepeace, you get the point. It was 2009. Right, Pauline, I'm writing this down, but I've got a person helping me. Of course, it was the 18th of March. Poor Claudia. And I did a program about her with Peter Blexley on Talk TV. And, we do hope one day Claudia might be found. What is Stuart Leslie Goddard professionally known as? See, these are not hard questions. Who is Stuart Leslie Goddard? There we go. Des Dog gets it immediately. Des Dog, well done. See, this is not a hard question. You get the point. It was Adam Ant. This is not a random question. Okay, here's a very, very easy question for you. Who once said, experience is the name everyone gives to their mistakes? Adam Ant has it as a tattoo on his chest, allegedly. Who once said, experience is the name everyone gives to their mistakes? It was not Churchill. It wasn't Mae West. It wasn't Steve Jobs. It wasn't Simon Cowell. It wasn't Orwell. Lady Min's cat, you get the point. Lady Min's cat. The answer, of course, was Oscar Wilde. It's a very easy question, What is the SANE charity associated with? SANE. What is the SANE charity associated with? Miss Marple gets a second point, taking you into the lead, Miss Marple. SANE is associated with mental illness, mental health. So my questions are really not that hard on this time. Which artist is Margate's most famous citizen? She got the freedom of the town in August 2022. Winston Churchill was also awarded the freedom of the town in 1957. So the winner is Joyce Grove. Joyce Grove, well done. You get the point. It is, of course, Tracy Emin, the town next door to Broadstairs, the artist's town. Which Iraqi British businessman received a police caution for assaulting his then wife, Nigella Lawson, in 2013? What was the name of the man? And I need the full name because there are two brothers. Which man assaulted Nigella Lawson in 2013? Right, Joyce gets a second point, so you're now joint second. Joint first, sorry, Joyce. It is Charles Saatchi. Next question. Which advertising agency came up with the slogan, "Labour isn't working," that led to the Conservatives to victory in 1979? Which agency? And I need the full name again. Full name. It wasn't McCann Erickson, no. Jane Hennessy can have the point, though you don't spell it correctly. It was Saatchi and Saatchi, a connected question. So Jane Hennessy gets 1 point. I will accept your incorrect spelling on this occasion, Jane, but Jane, please learn to spell. It would be very helpful. Thank you, Jane. I'm sure you're a lovely lady, but you need to spell correctly. I'm not going to forgive you again, Jane, if you don't spell correctly. Right. Which gallery is housed in the Duke of York's headquarters in Chelsea, London? Which gallery? It's not the Tate, no. It's not the Tate Modern, no. It's not the Queen's Gallery. It's not the Courtauld. It's not the Portrait. It's not the Queen's. It's not the V&A, no. Chili Karen, you get a second point, even though you have failed to spell correctly. It is, of course, the Saatchi Gallery. So this is my conclusion of my 3 in a row easy questions about the Saatchi family. So I gave you 3 in a row. There we go. But you've got, so now we've got 3 of you in joint first. Okay. Another easy question for you. This is absolutely simple. In which year were the Summer Olympics held in Beijing in the 2000s? Which year? Exact year. I don't need anything other than a year. Mr. Lee Kicker gets it. Mr. Lee Kicker, it is, of course, 2008. Thank you, Mr. Lee Kicker. You get 1 point. You're a newbie into the entry. Who owns the, which French billionaire businessman is the owner of Christie's auction house? He also owns Gucci, Balenciaga, Alexander McQueen, and much else. What is the name of him? I need his full name. I don't want a surname. I don't want a Christian name. I want the full name. On this occasion, I will take the full name. What is his name? He's a very famous man. He's not Freddy the Frog. He's not Adamant. Lady Men's Cat, you are immediately successful. Of course, it is Francois Pinault. So well done. You're now also joining the joint lead. We've now got 1, 2, 3, and 4 of you with 2 points. So you're doing quite well. It's the fastest finger forward. It's whoever answers first. It's whoever answers first on my screen. Otherwise, as Annie would say, you are the weakest link. Goodbye. So that's how it works. Who owns the Chateau Latour vineyard? A lovely wine, which I've drunk rather a lot of over the years. It's not Francis Latour, it's not Michael Barrymore, it's not King Charles, it's not Cliff Richard, it's not Aston Vineyard. It's not. Simon Coates, you've spelt it incorrectly, but you can have the point. It is the same as the previous answer, Francois Pinault. So we'll allow that on this occasion. There won't be any more subsequent answers of this type in this quiz, but right, well, there will be, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. Which American artist's work called Rabbit sold for $91.1 million in 2019? Which artist's work? It was a record price for a living artist. It wasn't Warhol, it wasn't Banksy, it wasn't Jackson Pollock, it wasn't Damien Hirst, it wasn't Basquiat, it wasn't the Rampant Rabbit, it wasn't Whistler, it wasn't Chas and Dave, it wasn't Jeff Koenig, but you're getting close. But I have to have a correct spelling in this case. I'm not going to give any more. I'm going to ban incorrect spelling. I've had enough of it. So you have to spell it correctly. The name of the artist, it's an easy spelling. It wasn't Jeff Cumming. It wasn't Jeff Koenig. It was right. It wasn't Brad Pitt. It wasn't Jeff Koons. It wasn't just Jeff. I need the full name. It's an easy one to spell. I'm not, I can accept that you can't spell Francois Pinault, but you have to spell this man's name correctly. Sorry. It wasn't the bloke from Art Attack. It wasn't Leonardo da Vinci. It wasn't My Name Jeff. Right, okay, well, if you're not going to be taking it seriously, it wasn't Tony Hart. I'll give you 30 more seconds. Otherwise, I will give 0 points for this one. An easy peasy question. I am tricky and you love it. Oh, well, thank you. Right, no, I now give 0 points. The answer was Jeff Koons. Not one of you gets a point. So that's one out of 20 you lost. You don't spell correctly. I'm sorry, it's an easy one. What is the journalist and food critic Jay Rayner's mother, Claire Rayner, famous for? What was she good at? Miss Marple gets a point, which takes Miss Marple into first position. Of course, she was an agony aunt, or you could call her an advice columnist. She helped people out. She was often on Richard and Judy. God help her. This morning, she wasn't a bad woman, and her son is a nice gentleman. But to work with Richard and Judy, God help her. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, horrible.
Lady men can't stand Richard and Judy. What do you say of Lady Richard?
He is a poser. He dyes his hair.
He's a poser and he dyes his hair.
Face.
He's got a fake face.
He's unattractive.
He's unattractive.
And he cons the public.
He cons the public.
And gets money.
He gets money for nothing. I will add that, he thinks that all elephants were born evil. He's a disgusting piece of toe rag. And as for Judy, he calls her mummy. When he first met her, he was told to call her mummy because she was his TV mummy. And then he ended up marrying his mummy. That's a bit weird, isn't it? And he is like Dorian Gray. As she gets older, he gets younger. He looks bizarre. And as for those strange children, they're about a bunch of freaks as well. Anyway, we're moving on to the next question in our quiz. This is an easy question, so don't try and say this is a toughie. Is Marmite savory or is Marmite sweet? Marmite,
Somebody-
savoury or sweet? Well, Miss Marple gets the fourth point. It is savoury, of course. It's based on yeast extract. Marmite is a savoury product. It is not a sweet product. Many people love it and many people hate it. And then there's Vegemite, which is the Australian thing, which is most
I love it.
Lady Min loves the Marmite, but we don't have Marmite here. I should have asked Jonathan, my friend, to send us some Marmite if that's what she loved, but she didn't tell me that because he would have put it in the box.
Marmite on toast.
Anyway, never mind. Right. Next question. Please don't keep interrupting in the background. Thank you. Right. Quiet. Quiet.
We're a little slow on this lot.
No. Can you be quiet, please? In which year was Berry Brothers and Rudd founded? It was founded as a coffee house. It's been a wine merchant since the 18th century. What year was it founded in? Exact year only will be accepted. It was not 1994, 1996, 1878. It wasn't 1798. No. It wasn't 1066. No. It wasn't 1877. It wasn't 2013. It wasn't 1888. You're not very good at this. This looks like another one that you're not going to get the answer to. It's a very easy answer. Easy to, if you know. It wasn't the King's Ginger, no. No. 1900? No, it wasn't 1665. I don't know. But Lady Min's cat gets a third point, taking you into second position. Lady Min's cat. The answer was 1698. It was founded as a coffee house. It wasn't a wine merchant at that stage.
Wow.
So, continuing. Which firm formulated a ginger liqueur to revivify Edward the Seventh from cold car journeys in 1903? Which firm formulated a ginger liqueur to revivify Edward VII from cold car journeys in 1903? It wasn't Stone's, it wasn't Gordon's. Simon Coates, you get another point. It was, of course, Berry Brothers and Rudd. Berry Brothers and Rudd. It was the King's Ginger, which is a ginger liqueur that I love to pour over ice cream. And Lady Min likes it very much over her ice cream. We love a bit of King's Ginger. And when I go shooting, everyone loves a bit of King's Ginger at the shoot. Where else? You can put a bit of it in champagne. It's fabulous. Get yourself a bottle of the King's Ginger. It's one of the best things. I do not work for Berry Brothers and Rudd. I wish I did. I used to be involved with them, but anyway, there we go. And my next question is, in what year did the very same firm, Berry Brothers and Rudd, launch Cutty Sark whiskey, which is one of the biggest selling whiskies in America? What year was it launched? Cutty Sark whiskey. It wasn't 1930. It wasn't 1698. Linz loves Cutty Sark. I love Cutty Sark. It's a great whiskey. I wish I could get it here. It's better than the horrible whiskey they have here. I've got this disgusting whiskey that I don't like here, called Lawson. Awful. I like Famous Grouse and I like Cutty Sark, but I haven't got any Cutty Sark here. So, right. No, none of your answers are correct. No. 1852, 1986. Wrong. The Mafia love Cutty Sark. You don't like the new King's Ginger in the orange bottle? You don't like the recipe? Oh dear, Simon Coates says. Right. Linz has got Famous Grouse tonight. Jane Hennessy, you get a second point. It is 1923. The man I used to work with, Maurice Cambar, was the American distributor of Cutty Sark. So that's how I got to know the Berry Brothers empire. And it's been one of the most fascinating parts of my life because I get to go and explore the wonderful 2.5 acres of cellars under St. James's. The scales where you can weigh yourself on your weight in wine. The fantastic number 3 gin, the best gin on the planet, in my view. I've been very lucky to spend time with a wonderful man called Ronnie Cox, who is the spirits director. He is one of the best, and we used to go and drink, well, we still do, martinis at Duke's Hotel, where James Bond, Ian Fleming would have had martinis. The Berry Brothers business is one of the best businesses in Britain because it's one of the most continuous businesses and it's a fascinating business. So there you go. You all learn something from my quiz. My quiz is not about just nonsense, but it's about education. My friends who live on a boat here in sunny Port Grimaud, Saint-Tropez, down here south of France, they said, we love your quizzes because we learn something new every day. And that's what we all must do. Every morning, wake up, try and find out something new. Whatever you do, don't live just to repeat the same. Learn something new. And that is a nice thing to do. So, my final question is about a couple who I wish I'd spent more time with because they were very successful and I, quite frankly, haven't been. I'm a total waste of space compared to how rich they are. Because considering they've made so many businesses successful. But I spent time with them in California, but they were from England. Who founded Bebo, the social network Bebo? It was not as successful as Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all that, in January 2005. And sold it for a fortune. What were the names of the couple? It wasn't Adamant, no. See, these are easy questions. You should know the answers to these kind of questions. It's an easy question. There we go. Lady Men's Cat. Oh dear. Right. Well, Lady Men's Cat, you've taken it to a tiebreaker. Of course, it was Michael and Zocchi Birch. Michael and Zocchi. Right. So we've got 2 of you, as far as I'm aware, with 4 points. So out of 20 questions, 2 of you have done very, very well. So now we need a tiebreaker. And I don't know what I do about a tiebreaker because I've never planned for one. Right. So I have to think of a question. I have to think of a random question. Right. Okay. Let me have a look in my notebook. Okay. Okay, a random question. What is the business called Omaze associated with? Right. The first of you, Miss Marple or Lady Men's Cat, to answer wins. Miss Marple, you win. Winning a house. Miss Marple is the winner. So thank you to Miss Marple. Omaze is a house prize draw. So there we go. Thank you very much for participating in our quiz. That was very, very nice of you. Right. Right. I need to have a tie-break question. Now I realize I have to add a 21st question to every quiz. So I've learned something new today. There we go. Isn't that a wonderful thing? To learn something new each day is a very refreshing thing. Yes, Omaze is not an amazing thing. And don't worry, I'm working on a story on Omaze. So don't worry. It's not amazing. I've got over, in this book, I think I've got over 25 pages of That's Omaze. 25 pages. Omaze is not amazing. It's a very, very bad thing. Closed down in America, closed down in Spain, should be closed down in Britain. Absolutely shocking operation, but I will deal with that later. So there we go. Anyway, well done to Miss Marple for winning, and well done to Lady Min's cat, who came a very close second. You know, it only came down to a tiebreaker between the two of you, and well done to all the others of you who got 2 points each. You're very good. But my questions are my questions, and I'm not going to be changing my questions. No, my questions are clear and simple. But one of you managed 5 out of 20. I think that's pretty good for the fastest finger forward. Well done. You know, Annie Robinson even wouldn't be criticizing you. There we go. But you can't really cheat at my quiz because it's very hard, because my questions are a little obscure. So I don't want cheating going on. So it's better than having those boring quiz books that I used to have. I prefer it this way. I won't be changing my quiz. I'll make it my way or the highway. But anyway.
You could simplify them a bit.
No. My quiz questions are better than Anne Robinson's. Well, thank you. That's very kind of you to say, Lynn's. Thank you, and cheers to you. So, right. Any more questions? No. Right. Any questions? Any questions? I'm going to have a little more red wine, and we'll have a bit more questions, and then I'm going to call tonight. So there we go. You've learned a lot. That's very nice. Thank you, Eddie. That's nice. I'm glad. What do I think of Russell Brand? I think Russell Brand is a revolting man because he allows his dogs to go around murdering wallabies in Henley on Thames. His dog murdered a wallaby. Disgusting. And his dog killed a wallaby. That's not a very nice thing to do. I don't like him. I think the man is sick in the head. He talks a load of rubbish anyway. He's completely cuckoo. What he did to that poor man on the radio when he called up with, you know, that other idiot. Absolutely revolting, absolutely appalling. Has Barrymore been in touch? Asks Chris. No, Michael Barrymore is a coward and a cretin and a see you next Tuesday, in my view. Michael Barrymore should be ashamed of himself. And as for this Mary Claire von Ulvensleben, you know, she used to roll around on the floor with him. I hear she's back in London rolling around. My friend Liz Brewer tells me that she's been seen at parties. Ugh. What horrible people. All of these horrible people. How do they think that they can just keep getting away with it? Horrible. But Michael Barrymore has no shame. He keeps going on this TikTok. Well, I say TikTok, 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 Michael Barrymore, let's be having you. Let's be having you. Let's have you face me. I and prepared to confront you, Barrymore. I want to speak on behalf of the people you have never told the truth to. You had a party at your house. You got in a taxi and you said you wanted to F something star K someone. The taxi driver heard it. Mr. Barrymore. Mr. Barrymore, at your house, it was March. And your swimming pool would have been freezing cold. Yet, you also claimed you couldn't swim. So why did you have a swimming pool in the first place? That's a very odd thing to have. As your former wife, Cheryl, who's sadly now dead, who was also betrayed by you. Why did you have that? Why was there activity in this swimming pool? Why were the screams in your house at 5 a.m., but nobody called the police till 6 a.m.? Why did a pool thermometer go missing? There are many questions about 9 people went to a party. 8 of them lived. It is like an Agatha Christie story, but it's not an Agatha Christie story. It is a real life disaster that caused 2 children to have no father. So come on, Keith Bishop. Come on, Barrymore. What do you say, Lady Min?
I think you should face up to it.
Face up to it. Come on, Barrymore. We want to speak with you, Barrymore. We're not going to shut up either. I am not going to give up. Sue Homan, a lovely.
Why did he run away to Australia?
Why did he run away before the police arrived at his house? He was the person responsible. No, let me speak. He was the person responsible at the house. At the house, it was his party. Why did he run away? Why did the women see people emptying cupboards? What was in those cupboards? What was going on? And where did the pool thermometer and the door handle go to? And why did Mr. Barrymore have the audacity to try and blame the wonderful, beautiful British National Health Service and say they must have raped him at the hospital? That is the most cuckoo thing he came out with, actually. Absolutely mad. Shame on you, Barrymore. And then you go on a program and dress up as Hitler. You dress up as Hitler and think that's funny? That is insulting to millions of Jewish families who have lost all their relatives in the war. And then you go on the same program and you get down on your knees and you bend down like a little scrubber that you are, because you are a scrubber, and you worship Jimmy Savile, Britain's worst ever paedophile, and you worshipped him on your knees. And then you roll around on the floor with the Nazi, horrible, racist, bigoted, vile, horrible Baroness Marie Claire von Oldensleben. You really are the pit. I want to face you. I want to talk to you, and I want to have a chat with you. I'll have a proper dialogue. You can defend yourself. I will not shout at you. I will talk to you in a reasonable fashion, but I presented you with the evidence. Explain the counterpoint. Explain your truth. Why did you do this? Why did you get down on your knees in front of Jimmy Savile? Answer me that question, Barrymore. Okay, my second question to you is, why did you dress up as Hitler? Did you actually think that was funny? It's a question. Please just answer the question. My third question is, why did you roll around on the floor with the horrible convicted two-time criminal Marie-Claire Baroness von Oldensleben, a convicted assaulter of people? She's another bigot. So why did you do that? Why were you spending time rolling around on the floor with her? And there are 2 photographs, so it's very clear. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes.
The photographs are not telling lies. You, Barrymore, are a shameful disgrace. And that is before I come to the Lubbock family. So, Mr. Barrymore and Mr. Bishop, Keith Bishop, profiteer Bishop. Oh yeah, you're very evasive. I've rung you a couple of times. You don't bother to return my calls. Mr. Bishop is the most amazing PR man. He's good at doing TikTok with Michael Barrymore, a man who does all these things, and a person who pretends to be Hitler, and a person who, worships Jimmy Savile and thinks that's acceptable as a client. Come on, Bishop. Man up, grow up, and show up, don't we say?
Yes.
We want Bishop. We want Bishop, and we want Bishop now. We don't like Bishop. But I want to have justice for the Lubbock family. So, Mr. Barrymore, face me. Answer my questions. I've presented the questions in public over the years, and many, many times, like I do in the Madeley McCann case, I present 10 questions. You can have the 10 questions, and then you can choose how you reply to them. Yes?
Yep.
I want you to answer my 10 questions. I'm not going to read them out here and now, because I haven't got them in front of me. But I don't think you will. So it's pathetic to even bother reading them. But you could have my questions in advance, and then you could come on and face me. Come on, Barrymore. Man up, grow up, show up. Do something decent in your life instead of making stupid TikTok videos of yourself throwing yourself upside down in a supermarket like a total twit. You're an absolute moron. But anyway, I'd like you to man up and grow up and show up. Come on, Barrymore. Let's be having you. Anyway, audience, what do you think? Should I carry on shouting at Barrymore, or should I shut up? Ring them again. Yes, right, says Linz. Yes. I will ring Mr. Bishop.
Ring them now.
No, I can't ring Mr. Bishop now. I'll ring Mr. Bishop in the morning. It's the wrong time of day. Mr. Barrymore hasn't got the kahunas. Yes, I agree with you. Carry on. Yes, I will carry on. I don't think I should shut up. Mr. Barrymore is the shopping mall comedian. Right. Ring him again. Yes. Okay. Barrymore is a complete narcissist. Yes, we totally agree there. Mr. Barrymore, I don't know why I keep calling him Mr. Barrymore, because he's just a
I'm
scumbag.
going to call him Michael.
Well, I'm not going to call him Michael, no. He is a complete narcissist, as you say. How much grouse have I had? I haven't had any famous grouse today. No, none of that. Don't shut up. Shout out for all to hear, says Pip Field. Mr. Bishop deserves protesters outside his office. Yes, well, Mr. Bishop, I'm going to make your life difficult, Mr. Bishop, because you represent a scumbag, a creep, a cretin, a man who ran away from the scene of a rape and a murder, a man who was the father to 2 children, who was abused by 2 implements at least, one of which was a pool thermometer and one of which was a door handle. And you are an apologist for this creep, and you are making profit yourself because you're his PR man. So you're making money out of this yourself. Man up, grow up, and face me. You as well, Bishop. I want you in front of me, Bishop, now. Let's have Bishop. Bishop, if you're a PR man, speak up, show up, grow up. Don't you agree?
Yeah.
We want Bishop. We want Bishop, and we want Bishop now. Sorry. I'm not going to be sorry, actually. I'm not sorry. I'll say what I feel. I don't like the way you treated the Lubbock family, you horrible people. Shame on you.
You have to campaign outside his house.
We will turn up outside your office and we will make a scene if necessary. This is not the way forward, Bishop. If you're a PR man, you'll put it right by now by answering my phone calls, because I have had the courtesy to phone your stupid staff who have not had the courtesy to phone me back.
On several times.
On several occasions. I want a conversation with you, Bishop, and I want a conversation with you, Barrymore. So, Barrymore, I want you more. I don't care much about you, Bishop. You're just a disgusting, greedy man who profiteers off Barrymore. But that's pretty bad enough, isn't it? You know, you make your living off a man who dresses up as Hitler. Class. You know, Prince Harry has been condemned for dressing up as a Nazi, and you dress up. You have a client who dressed up as Hitler. That's even worse. A man who dresses up as Hitler is your client. A man who worshipped Jimmy Savile and got on his knees and begged. What is wrong with you, Bishop? Wouldn't you agree? Bishop is the worst of the worst. Bishop, you are a piece of rubbish. You couldn't be any use in any bloody chess game. You are as much use as a chocolate biscuit, chocolate teapot. You're an absolute shameful person. You're disgraceful. I don't like Bishop. No, I don't like Bishop. But Barrymore, well, come on. Let's be having you. You roll around on the floor with Marie Claire von Oldensleben, a convicted criminal racist who was condemned by Judge Fudge as a racist bigot. You really are the lowest of the low, you are. And you were photographed twice with her. So your form is repeated. All you do is disgusting. You get in a taxi and you use the F word to say what you want to do that night. And then a man ends up dead in your house. And then you run away like the little coward that you are. And then you make videos with your stupid dog. Look, you think that making a video with a dog makes you look like a nice man. The dog is not to blame. The dog is innocent. I don't criticize the dog, but you are exploiting the dog because you think, oh, it'll make me look like a nice guy. And you're funny. And you make all these videos with children. Stop it. Go away. Shut your mouth. Fuck off. There's not many people I want to say the word fuck off to, but you are evil for what you've done because you ran away from the scene of a murder and a rape. You could have been there as the householder and just said, look, something went wrong here, and you could have explained, but you ran away. You're a cowardly custard. That's my kind way of describing it. But what you did was those two children now have grown up with no father. Shame on you.
Come out and defend yourself.
Tell the truth. Finally. We've waited too long for this. And, you know, Stuart Lubbock's father, the lovely Terry, who was a very nice man, has died. He never got justice for his son. And you never, ever gave him justice. 9 people went to a party, 8 of them lived. We are not saying you are the murderer, Barrymore, but your house is the scene of the crime. So tell the bloody truth. You ran away. So that makes people suspicious. It's a natural thing that happens because you don't tell the truth. You are a cowardly cretin because you don't help anyone in this story. And this poor lady, Sue Homan, who I spent time with, who was married to Stuart Lubbock, all she wants is justice. All the children will want is justice. You know, Terry wanted justice and he's dead. And what did you do to help him? Zilch, zero, nothing, nada, nout. You are an absolute scumbag. You're disgusting. You're revolting because you did nothing to help those people. And the crime occurred at your house, yet you ran away. I'm sorry. It doesn't matter what any court has said, any police, and the Essex police are rubbish, but you ran away. You did nothing to help that poor family. 9 people went to your house. One of the people at your house was a convicted person who was associated with assault criminal offences. I'm not saying who that person is, but, come on. It took at least 2 or 3 people to commit the crime. That is what is known. So out of 9 people, 2 or 3 of them, whoever they may be, and I'm not saying anything about who it may be, because that would be unfair. Come on, Barrymore, explain why you chose to run away and why the female people who could not have committed the crime because of the way the crime was committed, witnessed cupboards being emptied and things like that. Come on, Barrymore. Let's be having you, Barrymore. He's not funny, as Adele Heathcote says. Precisely. If it was anyone else, they'd be in jail. Someone will give it all up before they die. Well, that's what we hope. As people get older in a crime, people change their allegiances. So hopefully somebody will. And 2 years ago, it looked like that might happen, but it didn't. So it's very sad. Yes, the drag queen. Yeah, well, I won't name the drag queen, but yeah. Yeah. But it took at least 2 or 3 people to commit this murder. And they were all, well, it was a horrible thing that happened. And that poor man, he was just an ordinary man who went to a nightclub, and it was the era before social media, and he was starstruck, and he met a famous person, and the famous person said, "Come back to my house." And then this is what happened to him. It's terrible what happened to him. Absolutely appalling. He was just a man who was going through a divorce, and he was in the wrong place at the wrong time, and he lost his brother in the nightclub, and he ended up there alone with that lot. And 9 people went to that house, and 8 of them lived. 8 that we know of. Of course, there could have been more, but we don't know. But the taxi driver, the taxi driver gave his account of what happened, and well, we could all see what was probably coming from there. But a certain person here thinks he can get away with whatever he did because he ran away. I think I have my theories about what happened that night, and I think my theories are probably close to the truth. But I don't like the fact that this cowardly custard won't face me. Come on, Barrymore. You went and faced Piers Morgan because you thought you'd get a bit of money out of it, didn't you? So let's be having you. Cult Television says awful scenario. Barrymore knows what happened. I totally think I agree with you. He knows the truth. We know, yes, we're getting everyone agreeing the same. Yep, it's an awful scenario. Right, yes. ITV cover up a lot. Well, ITV can't be blamed for what happened in that bungalow on that night, but they have helped him along, and other channels have also. He should not be encouraged back into the world. We don't need Michael Barrymore back on any platform of any kind. I think Michael Barrymore should be cancelled until he tells the truth. Let's have Michael Barrymore tell the truth to the world about what he really did. Yes? Why did he run away from the scene of a crime? That is the first question. Okay? Okay, Barrymore, come on, man up, grow up, and show up. Let's be having you. And we've had people on here before who claim to be Michael Barrymore, writing back to me. Whether you're Michael Barrymore or not, I don't know. You could be fake because people pretend to be people all the time. Anyway, right. When you have people at your home, of course he knows. Yes. So there we go. He's a classic bully. Yes. He is a bully because he gets very aggressive when he's questioned. Sorry, excuse me. Right.
Darling, shall I go and get it?
Oh, right. Well, right. Well, I'm going to close the program shortly. So
I'll go and get it.
no. You. I will close the program shortly because Lady Men requires wine, so I have to close the program down. So
I've only had one glass tonight.
One rather large glass. There we go. Anyway, thank you very much for your participation. Some great sensible people on here, says Des Dog. He has powerful backers. He's mostly rotten. Okay, well, I'll carry on for a while. I'm just going to get her a glass of wine so she's quiet. Okay, just one moment. Why didn't you just have a glass of wine next to you? Plenty of wine.
Oh. Thank you.
Right. Anyway, sorry, viewers. I do apologize. Here I am again. Yes, I do apologize. Right. So there we go. So, have you any more questions for me on a different topic? Because I think we've done enough of Michael Barrymore. Now we've been interrupted. I don't think I want to talk about Michael Barrymore anymore, but I shall try ringing Keith Bishop again tomorrow. Keith Bishop is a coward. He does not answer the phone. He gets his stupid little assistant to fob me off. So Keith Bishop, let's be wrecking you as well, because you are a dreadful, awful person. Wouldn't you agree?
Who?
Keith Bishop.
Very bad.
he'd be an absolutely
Stingy, cowardly,
cowardly, says Lady Min.
and bad.
Bad and no. In a game
And
of
the
chess,
worst is cowardly.
in the game of chess, you wouldn't want him as on your side. You would definitely want him on your team. He would not be your bishop. He'd be a different side's bishop. He'd be the enemy bishop.
I'd like to meet him on the street in London.
Oh, Lady Min would like to meet him on the street in London. Ooh, I don't know what she's planning to do to him. But the bishop needs a bash. So we're not going
I'd go to the Bunch of Grapes. He can meet me there.
She's shouting about meeting him in the Bunch of Grapes. I've no idea why. That's got utterly no relevance to where we'd meet him.
So I can confront him.
She'd like to confront him. Okay, well, Lady Min wants to confront Keith Bishop. So it's not just me after Keith Bishop. Keith Bishop Associates. You've got Lady Min after.
The Bunch of Grapes is too low class for him.
Well, I'd like to confront Keith Bishop on any piece of territory because Mr. Bishop, you're like an apologist for one of the worst scumbags on the planet. How dare you? Go get them, Lady Min, says TMTB.
I will.
Right, she's going to get him. So
I have to protect my Matthew.
Thank you. No. T-Gun says, thank you for keeping it. Can we now calm down? Thank you for keeping this in the forefront. Essex police have some very wicked people amongst them. T-Gun, you make a very valid point because Essex police, they've got the Dr. Jones case, the murder of the lady by the doctor who got away with it. And, well, then he died ultimately. Most recently, but he somehow got away with it. We've got the Range Rover murders, which I'm not really that interested in, even though I know a few of the characters connected. Just a bunch of scumbags. Then we've got, the case of Jeremy Bamber, an innocent man, in my view. I'd become convinced that Jeremy is innocent. I'm 99% convinced Jeremy Bamber is an innocent man. Shame on them for burning all the evidence. Essex police are the very, 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 very worst on the planet. But they dealt with Barrymore. But look at the other cases too. It's terrible how Essex police bungle every case they get involved in. Essex police, they're just shameful, awful, awful people. Them in the Metropolitan, the very, very worst. So other people criticize others. But there we go. No, I will say, I think Jeremy Bamber deserves the CCRC review he deserves. The New Yorker article is one of the best I've ever read. Heidi Blake wrote a fabulous article, and I spend time talking with the Jeremy Bamber campaign team, as Lady Min knows. Yes? Hello?
What?
The Jeremy Bamber campaign team. And the New Yorker article. It was a fantastic article.
It was very good.
A very well-written analysis. Now, it doesn't mean it's true, but I will say I'm 99% convinced that should lead to a proper review of Jeremy Bamber's case. Because if Jeremy Bamber were outside that farmhouse and there were movement inside that farmhouse and it was spotted in the windows and there were phone calls from within the building, well, he cannot be the killer, can he? Completely cuckoo. The evidence is bonkers. I don't understand why people can't have some logic in their brains. And Heidi Blake spent months and months on her work. I spend months and months on some of my work. I've got this thing on this Omaze thing here. I've been talking with people about that. I look into something. Sometimes takes you. It could take you 6 to 8 months to look into a story. And she really spent the time, and her work was thorough. And she got evidence from police officers who said, we never said what they said we said. Jeremy Bamber has been in prison for 40 years because of this nonsense. If that is true, because of what this police officer said. He said, I didn't say that. Never said it. As people get older, their allegiances change, and they don't want to die with something bad on their mind, I assume. And this particular police officer, I forget his name, it's amazing. He told her that. He said, I didn't say that. So, look, this Essex police, they are manipulators, they're disgraceful. And what they've done to the Lubbock family is wrong, it's shameful, it's disgusting. Absolutely awful. I'm sickened by what I learned. I never ever imagined in my life I would end up doing these kind of programs, that I would end up taking on these people. But there we go. I'm being asked when will Anthony Smart be coming on my show. Well, if Anthony Smart wishes to come on my show, Anthony Smart is very welcome to come on my show. He's of course welcome. You'd like me to bash the bishop? Yes. Well, there we go. The Bunch of Grapes pub is in Knightsbridge. It's next door to Giovanni. Right. Yes, we were all behind you. Yes, well, thank you very much. It's very kind. Let's change the topic. Has anyone got any further questions for me before I end the program? Because I think it's a good idea not to go on too much longer. But thank you very much. Questions on other topics. Let's move away from Barrymore. I've said enough. Have I ever met Christopher Biggins? Yes. A very pompous man. Nothing more to say about him. Right. Right. Next question. Right, Adam Ant. Oh, I'm sorry I even brought him up. It was just a simple quiz question. Right. Any more questions? No, perhaps not. We don't seem to have any questions. So, what got me into journalism? Corruption in charity. Lady Mayer was her name. A horrible woman, married to Sir Christopher Mayer, who was ambassador to Washington. Lovely charity she ran, but I don't think we've gone over that loads of times. Have I ever been to Highgrove? And no, I've never been there, but I'm sure it's a beautiful place to visit, because I think the king has great taste in gardening, and I think if I could have his gardening skills, I might do a little better in the garden outside. I'm trying to tinker around with at the moment, which some man sprayed bloody mud all over yesterday. There we go. I do try with my gardening, but To do gardening, you have to have the right implements and the right everything and the right patience. My mother is a brilliant gardener. That is her love and her labor. My mother is an absolute queen of gardening. She's fantastic at it. Mother is a very good gardener, but I'm playing around with it, and I don't know all the intricacies of gardening, but I do know how you've got to water everything, and you also have to give it fertilizers and compost and organic mulch and all the rest. And my mother doesn't believe in fertilizer because she's very organic in her gardening, but you have to do it in a certain kind of way. So green fingers don't come to us all, but I try with my gardening. But unfortunately, someone came and sprayed the
Not bad. Not bad.
sprayed the concrete yesterday, and well, it didn't do much help for my gardening. So we'll have to revive the garden in the next couple of days. I think the garden might need a bit of emotional care over the next few days. So that's where we can be. Right. What am I drinking tonight? Well, I'm currently on a Côte de Provence from the
the region of Provence.
From Grimaud. It's a local wine. It's not the best wine I've ever had, but it's not the worst. So I'll leave it at that. Right. Simon Coates shifted 10 tons of leaf mulch today. Well, we could do with some leaf mulch here because it would actually help revive the plants after the experience they had with the man who threw things all over them yesterday. Right. Yes, gardens love you, and if you love them, I totally agree. A garden needs love and care and attention, and well, it wasn't a wise idea what we did yesterday. I think it was probably the stupidest thing we ever did, because the poor plants don't need that. But anyway, we'll get the plants back up and going. They'll be fine. We'll just get a bit of fertilizer and whatever and help them along. But you can't go spraying things all over plants. It's not a good idea. So there we go. So let's move along from plants. Next question, a different question. What do I think of the new dwarves film, minus the dwarves? Well, I've not seen the film. I spoke about it the other day, but honestly, sorry, we can't have a film with average people, can we? So what a load of old horse shit that is. Absolutely stupid. Don't have films without. Just stick to the original. I'm sorry if Agatha Christie had a film called 10 Little Niggers. It was called 10 Little Niggers. Okay. And now it's called And Now There Were None. So, okay, they've changed the name, but seriously, don't change historical context. It's boring. Stick to what the original is. I don't buy into woke. I don't buy into political correctness. I don't buy into any of that. Okay. I have friends who are black, who are brown, who are purple, who are yellow, who are green, or whatever, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transsexual. I even knew somebody who was a dragon, not that I agree with that nonsense, but seriously, stop cancelling things. Leave it be. The past is the past, and the future is the future. And sorry, Don't change the past. The past is part of our future. Not going to have my part, not going to have any of that. I like history as it is. Stop changing it. If there's a statue of someone you don't like, well, write a note underneath it. Don't pull it down. Sorry, if you don't like it, you shouldn't go pulling it down because it was there before you. So leave it bloody well alone. I've had enough of all this cancellation culture. Absolutely ridiculous. I know I start to sound like some angry old man who's stuck in the past, but no, leave it be. History is relevant. History is your future as well as your past. So stop it. If it does, like, I know some people who own a house in Devon that was built by a slave trader, and everybody said, oh, you should pull it down, demolish it. It's one of the most beautiful houses I've ever stayed in. I thought that people are bonkers. Why would you pull down a beautiful Georgian house just because it was built by a slave trader? It's not the fault of the house. Leave the bloody house alone. It's ridiculous. Anyway, I know that many people don't like this because it upsets them and it makes them feel uneasy. Well, go shove it up your jumper. And that's what I keep saying. I've really had enough of this. Leave all this Keir Starmer and this bloody Angela Rayner. She's the encouragement of all this. It's awful. We don't need this woman anymore. But we're not going to get rid of her we're not going to get rid of them for at least 4 years. So we are stuck with them. So there's no point whinging and whining. They are going to keep making our lives miserable for 4 or 5 years. We have to find a way forward. We need a decent Conservative Party. We don't need this Kemi Badenoch. She's bloody awful. Bad enough is what I call her. Oh, she's a real useless. She's going to win the local elections. That's what she's declared today. Seriously? Her? She's as much use as nobody. I'm not going to use any references because I would be accused of being a racist. I don't want to be accused of being a racist against her, but she is not a fit woman to be in the legacy of Margaret Thatcher. Margaret Thatcher was the finest prime minister this country has ever had. She was ahead of Churchill because Churchill was a wartime leader. He had unity. Nobody opposed him. She led Britain during peacetime, and she was the first female leader of Britain, and she won again and again and again. Why did she win again and again and again? Because she was a brilliant prime minister. She was the best. Wouldn't you agree?
Simply the best.
You couldn't get better in all the West.
No.
This lady won it all. And I know many of you will disagree with me and say she was horrible and she was nasty and she hurt the miners or whatever. Well, as someone who knew her, personally and loved her, she was fabulous. The time I spent with Margaret Thatcher, fabulous. An absolutely wonderful lady.
And she had the support of Dennis.
And Dennis was my friend. And I enjoyed the company of Dennis very much. And what a wonderful pair they were compared to this bag of bilge, Keir Starmer, we have now. Now, Lady Starmer doesn't offend me that much because she's into horse racing, but she hasn't done anything else. So she's she's pretty irrelevant.
She doesn't seem that bad.
She hasn't offended me. But this,
She stays out of the place.
but equally, this Kemi Badenoch, leader of the Conservative Party, what's she achieved? She's a total nobody, total waste of space. She's rubbish. We need a decent leader of the Conservative Party. We need a real person to man up and grow up and show up. I'd like Victoria Atkins to do it, but Victoria Atkins has not shown any indication yet. Victoria is one of the few Conservative people I admire, and I think Victoria could be a future great success for the Conservative Party. So come on, Victoria, I'd like you to do something. I've known you for most of my life. I haven't seen you in recent years, but I knew you when I was a child, when you were a child. So come on, Victoria, I'd like you to turn up because you'd be great. Victoria, come on, do something. It's time you did something. This Kemi Badenoch is not going to be the solution. She doesn't work. She's boring. Nobody even talks about her on the radio. Every interview, never any mention of Kemi Badenoch's views. The Conservatives are virtually forgotten. All we hear about is Rupert Lowe, Nigel Farage, Rupert Lowe, Nigel Farage. The rows in the Labour Party, some MP who hits somebody. We don't even hear about the Conservative Party anymore. The Conservative Party is self-destructing. This is not a good place for it. So come on, let's be having you. What do I think about George Galloway? Well, he's just a stupid left-wing old twat who supported Saddam Hussein. He's vile, disgusting, horrible man. Awful. Glad he's been cancelled. No way to George Galloway, precisely. No way, I say. Right. I'm sorry to use extreme language, but I get very passionate about politics. Starmer is a harmer, says NWEV. No, he's a farmer harmer. He harms the farmers. And as someone who is associated with farming, we hate the farmer harmer. He's awful. Starmer the farmer harmer, filth. And brilliant work by Jeremy Clarkson. Jeremy Clarkson, when I went on that protest in November, and there's been protests since, well done to every one of you who's been on that protest. Stand up against that creep. And Rachel Reeves, Queen of Thieves, that's her nickname, and that's what she deserves. Shame on anyone who harms farmers. So no, we don't like farmer harmers. No. Have I ever met Jimmy Savile? No, I never met Jimmy Savile. No. Thank God. I know people who wrote to Jimmy Savile, but and I know someone who wrote to Jimmy Savile successfully, and had their little meeting arranged when I was a child. And
Can I say something?
Yes. Now, Lady Min would like to speak.
Well, you're not going to like it.
What?
Close the borders.
Oh,
Get
no,
rid
no.
of the immigrants.
Oh, no, you can't. No, shut up.
Don't give them national health.
No, anyway, that's enough from her.
Stop giving them houses.
That's enough from her, because you're going to ruin my show. You're going to get me taken off the internet, so be quiet. Thank you.
Well, I'm not sure. I'm not you. I'm speaking.
No, but you're going to ruin my program. You're not allowed to do that.
I'm just saying.
Please don't listen. Please,
No,
stop it. Stop it. I don't need any more. I don't need this on my channel because no, I know you're going to get me closed down right now. I'm very sorry. I do apologize, YouTube. I cannot have.
I made a complete
No,
outburst.
no, I don't need. Well, it's too much. This is not relevant to the conversation, and I do apologize. I don't want my channel to get closed down because I'm not allowed to say such things, as we all know. You've got to be very careful what you say on YouTube. So, having people shouting in the background, saying things like that is not very helpful. That is not my view. It is totally disassociated with me, but I have my views about society also. I'm not politically correct, but I'm not quite so vicious in the way I speak about it. I do apologize for the views just expressed because I don't want to have this program closed down, and that's really not what I wanted to happen this evening, and I do apologize. I'm very sorry. Can't say any more than that, but if they close me down, they close me down. And if I'm closed down, then, well, you all know why I was closed down. So it really wasn't helpful of the outburst that just came in. I'm very, very sorry for this because I know YouTube have very strict policies on what people say about people. So I do apologize. I'm very, very sorry. There we go. Can we please change the topic whilst I'm still allowed to be here? Because they'll probably close me down in the next 20 minutes. So I'm probably going to get banned from YouTube for what's just occurred, which really was not very helpful. So if you could please give me some other topic, we'll try and talk, and maybe that will help. But the person in the background I would appreciate it if they never did that to me again, but we will probably be closed down anyway in the next 20 minutes, I'm sure. So there we go. Right. Right. If I get closed down, you will petition for my return. Well, I probably will be closed down because of the shouting in the background. I'm very, very sorry because I know what happens with this kind of YouTube thing. They close you down. So I'm lucky they haven't closed me down immediately. What are my thoughts on something white privilege? No, we don't want to talk about any. I don't want to talk about any. It's a different topic only, because I'm going to probably be closed down in the next. This is. I can't have all this. This is now a disaster area. A different topic it can only be if, whilst I'm still here, because I will be closed down shortly. What hair products do I use? I have no idea. L'Oreal or something. I've no idea. Whatever I can buy. Right. No, you are not allowed to say certain things on the internet, and things, especially on YouTube. So, and now things have been said. No. Right, a different topic from you, please, because let's keep this going, and then I can perhaps get through it by talking about something light-hearted. It can't be about all of that. A different matter. Yes, Stevie D, well done. Stevie D, what's your favorite animal? Do you like a tortoise or do you like a donkey? I don't know. Random question. You say only snitches will get me banned. Well, I don't agree with you there, but there we are. Have I ever visited Peckham? Yes, I went to a council estate in Peckham once I was at university at the London School of Economics. I went to a university from everywhere, from Rudy Giuliani's mansion at in New York to a council estate in Peckham, because that's what we were forced to do at university. My university, London School of Economics, we went on very odd visits. They said, we have to go around a council estate in Peckham and visit people. Well, I don't think they really appreciated me arriving. The governor's mansion in, New York, we were there for only 20 minutes equally, but I never understood why they forced me to go around this bloody housing estate. Not that I have any. I have friends from council housing estates. I have friends who live in palaces, but I didn't understand the university's logic of forcing us to go wandering around the council house estate, harassing the residents. I thought it was absolutely awful that we were pestering these people. They said, go and bang on their doors and ask them some questions. I didn't see the need. Thought it was awful. So I have been to Peckham, yes. That's my only visit to Peckham in my entire life. I've driven through it probably a few times on the way to Kent, but there we go. Peckham Spring, yeah, you're thinking of Del Boy. Yes, that's a very obvious thing. You call Margaret Thatcher the milk snatcher. Well, Josie, you're entitled to your view, but Margaret was one of the most lovely ladies on the planet, in my view. And I loved Margaret. I had many wonderful times with Margaret Thatcher. And I'm lucky to have spent the time with the first and the best female prime minister in history. She was simply the best. And I'm sorry you don't like her and you call her the milk snatcher. And well, that's your choice. But I actually knew her, so sorry for you. But you're wrong, in my view. But you're entitled to your opinion, of course, and I respect your right to have a different view. There we go. Who's my favorite comedian? It has to be Catherine Tate. I love Catherine Tate, who, of course, has been cancelled. Another one, because we're not allowed to. Oh, and I have to say, Patricia Routledge's Hyacinth Bucket was a wonderful thing. Keeping Up Appearances, and I was watching an episode of Keeping Up Appearances this very morning. So I love my Keeping Up Appearances episodes. Many others. There's so many. I could give many other examples, but Patricia Routledge was a lovely lady I spent time with. Nice lady. Do I think Margaret Thatcher was conned by Jimmy Savile? I think everybody was conned by Jimmy Savile, but that does not mean Margaret Thatcher is to blame for Jimmy Savile. Jimmy Savile is the only person to blame for being Jimmy Savile. Jimmy Savile was Jimmy Savile. He was a revolting, evil, vile, disgusting man. Margaret Thatcher did not make Jimmy Savile or create Jimmy Savile, so don't blame Margaret. I'm sorry, I don't blame Margaret. there are other people who probably should be criticised for allowing him access to Margaret Thatcher. Yes. But I don't blame Margaret. No. Sorry. In this instance, no. Margaret is not to blame. No. What do oh, here we are. We've got one of these. We've got you back in the room. The pest. We've got a troll. Yes, I have Stockholm syndrome, do I? Oh, yes. Well, why don't you bog off and shove it up your jumper, you pest? I'm not going to name you because that's what you want. Yes, hello. You're probably Sam Palmer. Go away. Go away, little troll. Anyway, right. Okay. I've got Stockholm syndrome, have I? I've actually met people who've had Stockholm syndrome, so I know a little bit more about it than you. So why don't you go away, Sam Palmer? You're a pest. Okay. Right. You think I could write a great travel book? Okay. Well, I could possibly, but I don't travel that much. Right. Right. Lots of you don't like Margaret Thatcher. Well, thank you for your comments, but I do love Margaret Thatcher, and I'm not going to change my mind. So I'm not going to be having any further discussion about that. Do I like opera? I love opera. Yes, I love a bit of opera. I love all sorts of music. I love everything from opera to Coldplay. So there you go. A bit of a mixture. Right. What is Stockholm syndrome? Okay, well, the person who asked is a person who is associated, I think, with Bernard Eccleston, and is a complete pain in the arse. But not you, Des Dog, but Stockholm syndrome is basically where you fall in love with the person who kidnaps you, and you become willing to do whatever the person that kidnaps you wants you to do. And this occurred with one of the Getty family, and I met this lady, and then she ended up going on a bank robbery and shooting someone, and then she got a pardon from Bill Clinton. That's how it works. So there you go. Coldplay are great. Yes, I went on tour with Coldplay many, many years ago. So there we go. I was on the tour bus. I enjoyed that very much. I think Chris Martin is great. And at the time he was with Gwyneth Paltrow, and she was lovely. Lovely lady. I don't know what they're like now because I've never seen them ever since, but I was there with somebody who I was involved with at the time, and I'm not involved with anymore. You got Stockwell syndrome, buying cheap from Tesco, you say. Okay. Yep, that's an alternative kind of jokey version, but what do I think of Charles Manson? Very evil. Right. Do I attend plays or musicals? Sometimes I go to plays. I'm not into musicals, no. I like plays. Used to go to a lot of plays when I was younger. I used to go every Friday to a play with my godmother. She's on the board of many theatres, so I used to go to lots of plays with her. Do I like Justin Bieber? can't say I'm particularly enthusiastic about Justin Bieber, but he hasn't done me any harm, so I don't dislike the man, but I'm not really into him. Right. Patty Hearst, yes, of course. Right. Yes, Patty Hearst, I did have dinner with. So, yes, she was one of the Symbionese Liberation Army. Yeah. Am I upset that Neighbours has been cancelled again? I believe most of the actors of Neighbours are very upset that Neighbours has been cancelled again because Amazon bought the rights to Neighbours. Neighbours. Everybody needs good neighbours. I don't know how it goes. Anyway, that's a terrible rendition. Am I upset? No, because I don't watch the program. But I did know Toadface or Toadfish or whatever he was called from Neighbours. I met him when he'd been in Big Brother with my friend Frankie Dettori. He and Gillian Tailforth of EastEnders. She was in it as well. I went to a dinner in Sydney Street, Chelsea. There we go. With Toadfish from Neighbours. So that's my only. And I did know, of course, Kylie Minogue. Kylie is the pint-sized pop star. Her parents are the most delightful people you'd ever meet. Her sister, well, I'll leave it at that. No, Kylie, and Jason Donovan. I don't know Jason. I have met him, but I wouldn't say I knew him. But Kylie is fabulous. Wonderful, wonderful lady. Great friend of Kathy Lett and all the other people I know of the Australian variety. The late, great Edna Everage. Yeah, all those people. Fabulous. Wonderful. But no, the Neighbours cancellation. I don't know because I haven't seen the program in years. Maybe it's not a very good program anymore. I don't know. Maybe it's just got nothing going for it. Sometimes things have to end. Howard's Way did not go on forever, did it? And I think Howard's Way is wonderful. I'd say revive Howard's Way. Let's have a new version of Howard's Way and see how, the young people who are in Howard's Way live now and how they conquer the sailing world and all the rest of it or something. That would be quite fun. But maybe nobody wants that either. I don't know. I'm not really. I like the Archers, of course. That's my thing. So I'm just simple old me. Beck loved Howard's Way. Harriet is here and the trolls will be banned. Yes, the one called Withero has to go. Hello, Harriet. Thank you and welcome, Harriet. Could you please get rid of the one called Withero? Thank you. We're banning Withero. Lady Min has gone to sleep, which is not very helpful. Any news of Ghislaine Maxwell? Ghislaine Maxwell is still rotting like a pig, as she should be. Horrible, horrible woman. Right. What's the best theme tune ever? Asks Beck. Well, I'd say Howard's Way. Or no, actually I wouldn't. I'd say Inspector Morse. Barrington Furlong wrote the music for Inspector Morse. The music for Inspector Morse, of course, was always Morse code, so that is more clever. Let's say that's the better one. Yes. Edna Everidge was fantastic. Yes, Barry Humphries, Edna Everidge, an absolute fabulous person. Great to spend time with, a wonderful person. They've been auctioning various things to do with Edna Everidge. Wonderful. Cilla Black, well, not fabulous, no. Not my kind of person. Lowbrow, not highbrow. Awful, boring, vile. Right. Anyway, we're coming to 3 hours and 15 minutes, and now we're down to 85 of you. So people are leaving. It's probably time for the end of the night. Right, we've blocked the Withero. Thank you, Harriet. Thank you. Minder had a good theme, yes. Right. Harriet moderates for other channels and lurks in and sweeps in when needed. It's very kind of you, Harriet. It's very kind. I don't know anything about this moderation thing. I've absolutely no idea. I'm just a simple person. So there we go. Right. So anyway, the other one's fallen asleep, so I think it's probably time that I depart and put the said person to bed. So anyway, thank you ever so much for your kind participation. Thank you ever so much for joining in. You've all been very, very kind, and thank you for Harriet arriving late here, who kindly got rid of the troll. Right, anyway. Night, sleep tight, good gardening, and take care. Thank you. Bye-bye.